And there's a very cute scene here where Ivy's yelling at him afterwards. It's Jason Blood under the costume. And she's like, and you couldn't take one acting class. And Jason Blood's like, in my time, theater was the province of rogues and scoundrels. And Winston says it was supposed to be Eddie. I love that on so many levels. Number one, Eddie, of course, the consummate showman. Of course, he would have been able to pull that off flawless.
Yeah.
Also, rogues and scoundrels. Eddie is a rogue and a scoundrel. So, Jason Blood's not wrong in this instance. Hello, and welcome to Comic Dissection, the comic book club where we take comics and look at them through an intersectional leftist lens, but mostly just talk about Batman villains. If I have my say, which guess what? This week, I have my say!
At least a little bit of it.
That lovely voice you hear is Cecilia Rose, my co-host. I am Reno Dino Valentino, greatest guy you ever seen-o. And for this 2-week installment, we are covering another DC Black Label, or a DC Black Label. I think we hit one up a little ways back. Yeah. And we are also back among Batman's Rogues Gallery, because I like a siren song, it just calls me back.
Hey, we're doing Catwoman this time.
I can't stay away. Yeah, well, Catwoman with a lot of guest stars. We get a little Killer Croc, little Eddie Nigma, little Poison Ivy.
We will get the
little
Poison
Joker,
Ivy.
Little Penguin, little Harvey Dent. It's almost a whole fucking cast here.
Man, Harvey's gross.
He is really gross in this, and we'll get there. This is also, I really like this because, number one, it's Cliff Chang, an amazing Asian American who did everything on this. Mm-hmm. He did the cover art. He did all the inside art. He did the penciling, the inking. Like, he literally written, drawn, colored, lettered, cover.
Yeah.
Cliff Chang,
and he did fantastic.
The man is a threat.
Yeah, he did fantastic, too.
Oh my god. Like,
it's beautiful.
After reading Understanding Comics and realizing how much work goes into each of those aspects separately.
Yeah.
To have him done it all by himself, mind blown. And yeah, I do like the art style. It's kind of a noir. I'm not sure. There's a old comic called The Spirit, and this art style very much reminded me of The Spirit. But the art is great. The cell composition is great. The coloring's great.
Yes.
The paneling is awesome. There's a couple panels that I always pick out my favorite panel, but there's a couple other panels where I'll just point to where Cliff is on the top of his game.
Yeah.
Mind if I call you Cliff? I hope he doesn't.
We're friends.
Me and Cliff.
Look, this is going to be
we're
going to be a glowing review, so if we're not friends, we should be.
Yeah, we'll be friends after this. Who doesn't love a suck-up?
Flattery and the highest form of...
Yeah. Flattery is the highest form of flattery. That's the quote, right? That's what they say.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a four-parter from DC Black Label. And I like the DC Black Labels because they're almost magazine size. They're much bigger than the normal comics. And the Black Label just simply means that they're quote-unquote adult-orientated. So you might hear a curse word, might see a boob. That's pretty much the only difference between the Black Label and the normal. No boobs in this, but a lot of cursing. A lot of foul language.
I didn't even register that.
Yeah. Well, you won't see that in the normal DC runs. The F-bombs and the goddammits do not make it into the normal work. But I also picked this because I think it says a lot about politics, gentrification, police, like...
There's definitely heavy anti-police,
gentrification, anti-government, anti-fascist.
It is very against all of that.
I
actually really enjoyed reading it for that particular reason.
I really, in going back to it, I was like, man, I forgot how good this is. No wonder I picked it. I am also a genius for having picked this genius work. It's very... Let me see if I can get the words that I'm correctly looking for. It takes place a little bit in the future. Like, Catwoman's in her 50s.
Which I actually really fucking enjoyed getting to see.
Let's just say, having a female protagonist in her 50s, not your normal thing.
No. Like, it was so refreshing. And, like, she still has sexual agency. Like, it was really...
Boy, howdy.
Yes. But she's a fully grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, like... in her teens or her early 20s with these abilities. She's a grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
And she still gets to be fully herself. I really appreciated all of those facts.
Oh yeah. Like it was a real unique work.
Yes.
And I'm really glad we're covering it. It also it touches on a lot of little genres and mixes them in a way I really like. It's got the kind of crime noir. It's got the big one more heist.
Always one more heist.
Yeah, and it's got the dystopian future.
It's a fascist police state.
Yeah, the peace at what cost question that is so often asked in these types of sci-fi pieces. And all of that, just... my boy Cliff just puts it together in a perfect... Beautiful bundle. So, I believe we've teased you enough. Let's start jumping into the synopsis, because there's a lot of excitement right out of the gate. We start with Catwoman bitching about her knees not being what they were, and my God, I can relate.
Right?
I'm 42, and my knees also feel horrible. And I was not fit when I was younger, so I imagine it's even...
Look, she complains at one point about her back and stuff, and I know I wrote #relatable.
Relatable.
2 kids later, and everything's sore.
So sore. So, book 1 is opened. It's called Dirty Town, or Dirty Old Town, which reminds me of this Mother song called Dirty Town, which I wish I had the rights to. I'd throw it right in here, because it's a good-ass song. I may put the link to it in the notes. I don't know. I'm feeling it. But Catwoman is running around on a roof and being chased by dudes who kind of look like Batman, except they have police badges and they're using guns, which rumor is Batman is not a fan of. But
they look like stormtroopers with pointy ears.
Yes, they are. That is actually a better description. The mask also kind of remind me of the Bane mask from the Batman movies, but they are very high tech. You almost immediately are like, okay, this is kind of in the future.
Yeah.
We start in median res, like Catwoman's running, and she's like, man, this is harder than I remember. And then we flash back to 3 days ago, and she's getting out of prison, and that's great. Good for her. And she does the whole joke about, hey, you're a nice guy, Bob, but I hope I never see you again. Wah, wah, wah.
Bob is not impressed.
Yes, Bob's like, yeah, I've heard that one a few times. He also says, take care of yourself, okay? And she says, never a problem. And I like that because that is Catwoman to a T. Her entire character arc in the comics is that it is her selfishness and her kind of lone wolf persona that keeps her from letting people close. It's one of the things I think that attracts her in Batman.
About to say that Lexi's like here.
Yeah. Is that they're both kind of see themselves as a little outside of the law, but for the greater good.
They're both untrusting and suspicious of everyone and everything constantly.
Yes, but she through this, one of the things I love about this is through this you see all of these characters have actually managed to grow and change.
Yeah. And
one of the things about future comics that I really like is that's the only real way you can do it.
It's true.
Because we talked about this during Batman Dark Knight, Dark City. Like, Batman has to keep doing the same thing, otherwise you don't have a Batman comic.
Right.
But if you fast forward 30 years into the future, you can tell a different Batman story. That's what Frank Miller did with Dark Knight Returns. And this is kind of Catwoman's version of Dark Knight Returns. This is, we're in a future. We get to see what happens if these characters are allowed to change and grow. Mm-hmm. Some of them, like Catwoman, change for the better. Some of them, like Harvey Dent, who Catwoman... now back in the city of Gotham, walks by a poster.
Reelect.
He is the mayor.
Harvey Dent.
Still with his creepy ass half face, but he is now the mayor of Gotham City. And I don't know, maybe some places get the mayor they deserve.
Oh, that's mean.
I mean, come on, it's Gotham City. If anywhere deserves it. And
do we see Monty yet? No, okay, we're getting to
no,
Monty.
we're moving.
I
into
loved
Monty
immediately. I wanted that.
Monty's great. So she takes the bus because, of course, the prison's located way out of town because nobody wants a prison in their neighborhood.
Truth.
So.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, when you leave prison, you have to take the long bus ride back into the city, which she does, and she's immediately accosted by one of these bat SWAT soldiers, the dudes with the bat ears.
This is when my fascist police state alarm started going off.
Oh man, like a gong.
It was not a quiet alarm; it was a goddamn air raid siren.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, subtlety? I think not.
No.
But they've got these red goggles on, which allow them to... they're basically Google glasses. They allow them to immediately face identify.
Google glasses did what Google wanted it to do.
Yeah, this is the fascist future Google wanted. But the Google glasses immediately tell him who she is, her history. And this is also when she find out, where we, the audience, find out that she's female, age 55... Selena Kyle, no G-Bag. Like, you get all the information, so you establish where we are in her timeline. It's like, okay, she's 55. She's been in prison for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And this guy's basically like, you don't live in this neighborhood. No one lives in this neighborhood. This neighborhood's getting ready to get torn down and rebuilt stronger, better, faster.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I actually haven't been here for a while. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, welcome home, Catwoman. And that's such a power play. Like, yeah, I know who you are. Yeah. I know what you've done. I know who you are. So she sneaks back into her old apartment. I like, this is a thing that she, the first million she stole from the Falcone family. Falcone family is one of the big crime families in Gotham. Or they were, like, during... Prior. Yeah. If you ever read, and we probably will for the show eventually, The Long Halloween, the Falcone family is they're a real strong player in that story. And so the first million she stole from the Falcone Valley, she bought like a tenement building where she let people stay, apparently without paying rent. So the only good kind of landlord, one that doesn't worry if you don't pay rent. But yeah, seems like she cared even back then a bit about helping out the poor and helping out the people who... Sorry.
Well, and it's a smart move to make, just from a logistics standpoint, because people are going to hide Catwoman a lot better if Catwoman's also hiding them. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's always the...
It's the same thing as, like, the Black Panthers were really popular because they had breakfast feeding programs for their neighborhoods.
School education programs. Yep. When people got pulled over by the cops, they would pull up behind them and just get out with their guns and just stand there.
Yep.
Just to make sure... And while the cop's talking to the guy, they would, like, yell over him, like, hey, you've got these rights, and you should do this. Which made the Black Panthers, despite what you will hear with some propaganda today, very popular in a lot of the poor neighborhoods.
It was such a problem that, like...
the government got rid of it.
Yeah. Well, it was also such a problem just because, like, the neighborhood would also defend the Panthers. If you make yourself... It's why community defense and community networking is so important. If you make yourself, like, beneficial to the community community will also watch for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really our only hope of getting this socialism thing to work out.
I really wanted to work out.
So she gets into her penthouse with a little finagling because she forgot her password. So she has to, like, sneak in through the sunroof, and you get to see that her lock-picking skills are still what they once were.
Yep.
Still got it, lady. She goes inside. She goes into her, like, secret behind-the-closet cat lair. And I like this scene because you get a lot of homage to all the Catwomen.
Yep.
From all the different times. You see her outfits from when she first appeared. Some of the masks that you see are actually from the 60s TV show. Her actually from the Long Halloween mask is there. Later they'll mention some of her different Catwoman looks. They're all represented here. So just for someone who's really into
I also didn't know that Catwoman wasn't white.
Yeah.
She's Puerto Rican in this.
Yeah, which I think is, I think that's canon. I'd have to double look into that, but I do believe that is canon. So that's very exciting. Yeah, but let's see. Okay, and then her cat's still here, Monty.
Monty, I love Monty.
Monty stuck around for 10 years. I assume other people were feeding him or he's getting rats, but Monty and Catwoman hugs this cat in a way only people who have come home to an empty apartment or house and their animal has, after just a hard day or hard 10 years, they come home and that animal comes up and they just hug it in this way that they're getting ready to kill it because they're hugging it so tightly. That is love. Look. And again,
as someone who also hugs their cats and gets snuggles from them, I understand this love. This
man. And look at Cliff. Look at Cliff's work on the face. She's exhausted, and she is getting tired. Comfort in this. This is on the long middle panel on page 10. If you're following along, her facial expression, and also she's got a gun in her other hand because she heard a noise.
Yeah.
But it's this cat, and it's this perfect picture of she's so tired. And
if you've ever loved a cat, it's
that panel is great for you. But for me, the panel that really does it for me is...
I fucked this one here.
This panel construction of the middle panel.
Coffee.
Yeah, and the guy's like, what are you? So she tries to pay with cash, and this is now basically a cashless society for the most part.
Yep.
And he's like, what are you, some sort of criminal? And it's a picture of her, and behind her someone's reading a newspaper with her on the cover saying criminal
Cat's out
of the bag. And he's like, sorry, we only take G money, which I assume is just credit, debit card money.
Yep.
Sends her to the bodega down the street, which
is also, this one is what?
20
bucks for a latte and a scone.
Yeah.
It's $2.50
at the bodega. As someone who lived in New York City for a short spell, those bodegas, 24 hours, cheap prices, they'll save your life. They will save your fucking life, I'm telling you. So then, I really like this. She's watching on the TV in the bodega, and they're talking about what happened. Mayor Dent put up a memorial for all the officers who died on Fool's Night 10 years ago. And we're slowly discovering, we're getting little hints about what happened on Fool's Night.
Yep.
All we know is that's something happened on Fool's Night and Catwoman ended up arrested because of it. Assumed to have murdered Batman. And I'm not even sure if we know all that yet. But it's coming pretty soon if we don't. And I like this because Harvey Dent is being interviewed because he's the one that put up this memorial. He's like, 10 years of peace and prosperity after we outlawed all masks. I don't think that's a coincidence, Vicky. And I wonder if this is Vicky Vale, an older Vicky Vale. Not sure. But she says, and the Bat Cops, their methods, and he's like, whoa, you mean our tactical officers? Batman gave his life for the safety and order we now enjoy, and we can always use that reminder. So this is the first hint I got that Two-Face was fucking, two-faced.
He's the perfect person to make a politician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
Yeah.
I actually didn't trust the whole situation just from the look of the cops.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of curious. I wasn't sure if it was going to lean into what I would consider a more accurate reading, which is making the cops the bad guys in the situation or not. Because this could be at first I wasn't sure if this was going to be a more right-wing approach to a Punisher type of situation.
I kind of at first thought that that Batman was in charge of the city. In the first couple pages where there's these Bat Cops with machine guns, I was like, did Batman go full fascist?
I think it's because I read the back first, and so I was kind of aware that wasn't going to be the angle. But I was suspicious from the first cop interaction.
But I guess what bothered me about this is Harvey Dent is just making a blasphemy of Batman's legacy by arming these police officers
Oh,
with guns
But
and putting them in bat costumes. Like the thing he hated most in the world.
You can win over a lot of scared people, though, with theater of safety.
Oh, well, yeah. And misusing, like, how many people in college right now are wearing, like, Che Guevara shirts and have no idea what the fuck those mean.
Yep.
Like, he's using the Batman, which I'm sure he loves because it's fucking Harvey Dent. He's like, oh my god, I'm using Batman to fucking take over the city. Like, how great is that for me? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also he's like, oh yeah, no one's allowed to wear masks in the cities. But the cops...
Also had a really hard time dealing with COVID.
This is a part where... in an alternate world where COVID never happened. But it's interesting that the cops... Now this is a way where we kind of separate from the real reality. The cops in this world don't have to obey the same laws as the citizens. Now I know that's a fictional concept, but here in the comic world, the cops
an aneurysm.
Are not held to the same standards.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that weird? I think that's a very neat creative like bit of flourish there that I'm thankful we do not have here. Hold me, Cecilia. I'm very sad. All of a sudden, I'm very, very sad.
Look, I just had an aneurysm.
Sorry.
I might have to take a nap.
I took it too far. I apologize. That's on me. It was funny at first, and then it got sadder the longer I talked about it.
Anyways, she buys a bunch of roses.
She buys some roses and takes a taxi out to what we will discover is Wayne Manor, where she has to do some acrobatics and where she complains about her knees.
Look, I never felt so seen. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And the bottom of page 13, she's saying, oh, my knees. Need to be more careful. All this jumping around. Not like the old days. And it's showing her standing there, and you can see Wayne Manor overgrown and abandoned. So she's not just talking about her knees. She's talking about, nothing is like it was now.
I actually do think that that's a pretty interesting kind of parallel that I'm just now grabbing at. Mm-hmm. But the way that they have deified the Batman family.
Yeah.
And then left the actual, like, anything that could actually be of Batman to decay.
Oh, that's so good! I didn't even think of that. That's so good. Yes.
Because the manor, which could be used as, like...
It could be a Bat museum for all...
Or even something that Batman would have approved of, like a house for orphans. Mm-hmm. Or, like... there are a million ways that you could actually live into something, which I actually think Barbara, when we get to her, does a good job of. But there are a million ways that...
Yeah, Barbara's great in this.
That you could have actually lived into something of the Batman legacy, and instead, it's put up behind walls and guards left to rot.
Yeah.
Which is just a neat parallel that I'm just now grabbing. So you're welcome.
Nicely done, Cecilia. I knew I had you around for a reason. Besides, it would be weird for me to just talk to myself for 2 hours. But yeah, you find out that Selina brought these flowers for Bruce Wayne. But I love this. She sees the other tombstones: Richard John Grayson, Alfred Pennyworth, Dick Grayson, Alfred, and you see a couple more, which I assume are, I don't know, Jason Todd, Damian Wayne, maybe who's the Robin I'm forgetting? So many fucking Robins. The other one.
Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne.
The one I'm forgetting.
Jason Todd.
Yeah, there's Tim Drake.
There you go.
Thank you. So
I saw Alfred's tombstone, and my first thought was, I want Alfred to have died of old age.
We lost a real one.
Whatever happened.
First thought was we lost a real one.
I want him to have not died in this city thingy.
Yeah, but leaves flowers out. And I like that she takes some of the ones that... She brought them all for Bruce, because she sets them all in front of Bruce at first. But when she sees the other graves also left alone, and then she puts a few at each grave, which I thought was just a very sweet way to remember those who have passed.
Yep.
But then a cop shows up and scares her off, and so she has to run away. And now she's taking a fancy helicopter out to the Iceberg Lounge, which is the Penguins Club, which is now off the coast, so it's officially in international waters, which allows him to be even more fucked up and shady than he used to be.
Yep.
And I like that they're talking about all the things. And he's like, "Oh, I've missed you. I was just thinking about that time with the giant typewriter. What fun." That is an actual thing that happened in the comics. And if you remember, I gave you that Neil Gaiman book to read with the little Riddler story in it. And there's a scene where he's actually jumping on the giant typewriter while he's talking to the reporters. So that is a callback to a piece that is actually in the Gotham lore. The lovely giant typewriter.
I just really like they're talking about the way that the Penguin's making all his money now and
Most
all the
of it's
offshore
legal.
account.
Yeah.
Penguin went straight, which just means he's committing all of the crimes that are illegal now. He's smart. Why didn't he do that to start with? Like, he should have just been laundering money to the Cayman Islands to begin with. Then he wouldn't have got punched in the face by Batman so many times.
Yeah, it kind of also gives truth to the lie of... every once in a while, the Batman comics will discuss a scenario where... Did Batman create all his villains? Are they all villains because Batman... You know, if there were no Batman, would we have no Joker, no Riddler, no blah, 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 blah. And this sort of gives a lie to that, like, no, I think these people would still be shady, just less flamboyant.
Yeah.
Like,
there wouldn't be a need for the costume.
Yes, Penguin wouldn't have a machine gun umbrella, but he would still be a crooked-ass criminal.
He'd still be a hedge fund manager.
Yeah, he'd be a hedge fund man. That's exactly what
That's
he'd
what
be.
it... Yeah, this... Because the thing is, outside of the flamboyancy, none of Batman's villains are really only there because Batman is there.
No, they've got other problems.
But one of my favorites. So he's asking her to go do something for him, and then he says something about she could wear her old costume, and he stares down her shirt.
Yep.
And then she punches him in the face, and I loved that. Every part of that interaction. After the staring down the shirt,
she comes asking for I need to get back on my feet loan.
Yep.
And Penguin's basically like, I only give out loans to good investments, and you're a bad investment. But you can always be a hostess at my club. Mm-hmm. And wear that old outfit, you know the one. And, while he's staring down her shirt. And, she knocks him the fuck out.
I loved that.
Yeah.
All women should get to punch men in the face when they stare down your shirt.
Gives him a nice bloody nose. And if you know Penguin, that's a lot of blood because there's a lot of nose. So, Catwoman decides, hey, looks like I've got to get some respect back. Like, the way Penguin's talking to me, people have forgot who the fuck Catwoman is. So, takes some pain meds and decides to break into...
Gotham Central.
Thank you. Break into Gotham Central.
I wrote here that Catwoman is a young girl's game. Like,
yeah, right? And we're going to meet that young girl a little later on, who has a surprising father. But we'll get there. And I like this whole conversation. So basically, she gets caught in an office with some cops talking to each other. And they're basically talking about body cam evidence. Mm-hmm. And the cop says, hey, I want you to lose that and use this. And I love that scene because... I think for a time, and I did this too. I was a sucker just like everyone else. I kind of thought that body cams were the answer. Right. Like they were going to solve all these issues. But the problems with body cams is who's editing them. Yep. And it's nice that they put a little reference to that here. Mm-hmm.
Again, for all of the ways that this is supposed to be like a futuristic sci-fi thing, it is very relevant.
Yeah. You speak of the truth. So, unfortunately...
her heist does not go the way she hoped.
Yeah, and she has to leave empty-handed.
The poor woman's trying, like, the straining up here.
And
like,
she falls down too early, and he hears it and comes back in. Yeah, there's the scene that you've seen 100 times in, like, movies and stuff, where it shows the guy, and over his head you see the thief, like, spread... like they're making a snow angel, like holding themselves on the ceiling. But she's a little older than she used to be, and she can't keep herself up.
The shit's harder than it used to be.
Yeah. And
then we get to an interview with Harvey.
Yeah, this was really... this was a really good scene just to get a little more development into Harvey Dent and like what happened on Fool's Night and why he decided
to go straight.
To quote unquote, go straight and become the mayor. So basically on that night, he did a bunch of heroics, saved some kids. There's like some footage of it. And then, this
is like when we were talking in Transformers and we said saving someone one time doesn't make you a good guy.
Yeah, Harvey's here's the evidence.
Yep.
We got receipts. But I like this. He says, this might sound strange, but I realized I was a victim. Yes, me, of binary thinking. Good versus... And he basically talks about the black and white versus shades of gray. And how Two-Face, his alternate persona, could not see shades of gray. Is a very binary character. And how he moved past that. And became the mayor. And now he's a great guy and everyone loves him. And then we have this beautiful... This is where we find out that he's up for re-election, and he's running against Barbara Gordon of Batgirl fame, daughter of Commissioner Gordon.
Yep.
Who is in a wheelchair due to a mishap with the Joker. And you can already see her posters outside her campaign office say Gotham for All with a rainbow flag, Gordon for mayor. So, like... Obviously, we have our conservative and our quote-unquote, our progressive campaign people running for mayor. So, let's just say our hero and villain, shall we?
I really enjoyed this version of Barbara. I'm not going to lie. Although, I do take issue with her expecting Catwoman to have been able to save everybody.
It is one of those, and I think she moves past that later, but you later on find out why she says that, because Catwoman straight up says, there's a scene where like they're all separating and Batman's like, Barbara, you can't go save Commissioner Gordon because you're his daughter and your head won't be
where I need
it. And Catwoman straight up says, don't worry, we won't let anything happen to him. So Catwoman takes that on to herself.
Yeah.
Like, she wrote a check with her mouth, and Barbara's cashing it in on that ass. And also, I feel like she never got a chance to say this stuff to Catwoman. I assume the trial was speedy. Catwoman was carted off to prison.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever had a reckoning. I think this is that reckoning. But, yeah, I like this. The first thing she says, like, hey, I just saw Dent on TV. Give me the word. I'll take him out for you. Which is very cute. And Gordon's like, same old Selina. Everything's a game to you.
I feel like it's also true, though. And this is, I know that when you're angry and hurt, you don't always think in the most forgiving kind of ways.
Yeah.
But I do also think that if Barbara were honest, she would realize how much Selina lost, too. Because it's not like Batman and Catwoman weren't a known item. Like, they knew that they were together. Yeah,
absolutely. And Selina's not there to reminisce so much as she is to ask this question about this thing called Orpheus. And Barbara freaks out upon hearing the word Orpheus. She's like, oh, hey.
How'd you know about that?
But before Selina can get the info she needs, someone comes in from outside and she has to jet.
Yep.
But yeah, there is a scene where Selina says, I didn't kill them. Talking about Batman and Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara says, you didn't save them either, Catwoman. So yeah, she is definitely, at this juncture at least, holding her responsible. But I kind of do think this is the sort of situation where she's got all this bent up rage and no outlet for it until Selina walks into her life again after 10 years and she's like, oh, thank God, I get to get all this out.
Finally, someone I can yell at.
Finally, the person I can yell at. Yeah. So then we have a nice scene of, just a quiet scene of her walking and asking, was it worth it? Like all of the costume shenanigans and the robberies and all of that stuff. And then we cut to a nice bar with a lady that's been open since the 1800s, and a gal named Ma Hunkel, who apparently this was the bar where hench people used to hang out and criminals used to hang out.
I loved Ma Hunkel.
Yeah, and this old lady is when you first meet her, she's chucking a dude. She's getting ready to chuck him through the window, and she's like, "Well, if you apologize to my pal Waylon, you can stay and buy a round of drinks for everybody in the bar. I'll let you stay." And so he does. And he's like, sorry, Waylon. He's like, you got lucky this time, killer. So we see the Killer Crocs in here enjoying a pint. And poor Selena gets hugged to her back cracks.
She probably needed that, though.
Yeah, ma hunker. She ain't trying to hurt nobody. And I love this next part. I am a sucker for when Batman baddies just get together and just hang out. Like, they're not trying to one-up each other. They're not being shitty to each other. They're not trying to kill each other. They're just hanging out.
They're just chilling, catching a beer.
I'm a sucker for it. Yeah. So I loved watching the Batman baddies getting along. In fact, that may be why I like this story so much, because it's just a lot of Batman baddies getting together and having good times. Dancing and partying and
the thing
eating.
that I enjoy the most, at least between the is the relationship between Selena and Croc, especially as it goes on, is that it's just platonic. Mm-hmm. They are very friendly. They stay, like, through the whole thing, they stay very friendly.
Yeah. I
just really appreciated all of that.
Yeah. And he does say, I used to be the king of Gotham. That is accurate. There was a time when he was the king of the underworld. Aww. It was short and brief, but he often mentions it.
Hey, you gotta hang your laurels where you can get them.
Amen to that. That ought to be this podcast tagline. We hang our laurels where we can get them. And Harvey Dent just walks right into the bar to spoil the occasion. Basically does the fucking thing that all people... When you have criminals and one's gone straight, they always have to get in the other person's face and do the whole, like, hey, I just want to make sure that you keep flying straight. Hey, you're doing good with your rehab. Don't backslide. You know, criminals, bad. You know, paragons of society, good. Ugh. Harvey Dent. But Selena gives him the...
Here's the thing.
Gives him the coin flip.
So I did the wire him in here.
Yeah.
Because he says something about her... If we catch you, you'll spend the rest of your days back in prison, old, unloved, washed up. Why are men? And fuck Two-Face in particular.
Yeah. Yeah. But she gets him back because he's basically telling her, you either retire or you're going to end up back in jail.
Yep.
And Selena goes, oh, retire or go back to jail? I don't know, Harvey. You choose. And she flips a coin, and he catches it in the air, and he is so fucking mad. He's like, why are you bringing up old shit? I don't do that coin flip thing no more.
My gimmick's different now, man.
Yeah, I got a different gimmick now. Now I'm a shady politician. And he leaves, and Catwoman is so mad that because Killer Croc's like, oh, we should get together and do one last job, and she's like, nah, I'm out of that life. But as soon as Harvey comes in and tells her not to go back to that life, Catwoman's like, hey, Killer Croc, one more heist, let's do it.
You know that thing you were just saying? I changed my mind.
I asked about Orpheus, I didn't get answers. Now we're going to do it a different way. Yeah. And Harvey Dent inspired her, and you find out that that's really part of Harvey's plan.
Yeah, he's goading her, and
but it's so easy because
she falls for it.
You tell a cat they can't do anything. I mean, how many TikTok videos are of him like, no, kitty, no, kitty, and then the kitty does the thing.
It's just something with some, because I'm one of those people too. Like, tell me not to, and then fucking watch me do it, which is also probably where my Chibi Chibi girl gets it from.
It makes you awfully manipulatable.
It does. It really.
Remember when I told you absolutely cannot do this podcast with me? It's because I wanted you here. Sneaky me. And there's a very sweet part where Croc's like, hey, one thing though, and you could say no, but I need a place to stay. And he's got this super sad face, like Croc's homeless.
Poor baby.
And Selena's like, Jesus Croc. It's a very cute scene. So now we cut back to where we were at the beginning of our comic, where she's getting shot at. She throws a smoke bomb. She runs. She's having a hell of a hard time of it because once again, her suit's old, her equipment's old. She's not even sure if the gas bomb's going to work. She's like, this thing's too old, but it does. And she is able to steal a box because she's looking for stuff about Orpheus, about the Night of Fools. So she steals like the evidence box from that night. And
poor baby.
She finds a Batarang and just she takes her mask off. She's like on a rooftop somewhere. It's a beautiful scene. Like the sky's pink, so you can see like the sun's getting ready to come up, and she's just sadly like holding it. And then we get our first flashback to Fool's Night, and it's brutal. Like Cliff spares no punches here. Selina's holding Batman, and his suit is gone. His skin is bubbles. Red bloody bubbles. Like, obviously he was in an explosion and hurt very bad. And this is when he says, go to the cave, bring me the Orpheus, save the city. And before she can, the cops show up, and she's cradling Batman's dead body. And so the solution is like, oh, well, I guess Catwoman killed Batman. She's trying to save the cops, though, because they're trying to break onto the roof, and she's trying to warn them that the roof is
bombed,
all rigged up by the Joker, who we'll find out is the other protagonist in this Night of Fools. Mm-hmm. They don't listen. There's a big explosion. She gets knocked out, wakes up, goes to prison. The end. So, flashback to modern day.
Oh, I just wanted to say...
Sure. Yeah.
As far as the costumes go, this one might be my favorite ever.
The gray with the big eyes?
It's got like a steampunk kind of vibe to it. I really
I dig
like
her
that.
goggles. I think I like those goggles the best. There's also ones that look almost identical to that, but they're red. Yeah. And her suit's like a darker black. That's probably my go-to Catwoman outfit, but that one is I like the shape of her goggles in that one. So, Selina sends Barbara Gordon her dad's pipe.
I wondered where she got it from.
It was in the evidence box from that night.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume he had it in his pocket.
Okay.
But yeah. And then we cut to Harvey Dent, and basically it's revealed that he's like, I'm going to win this election against Barbara Gordon by capturing and or killing Catwoman. I set her on this path, and she's going to fuck up, and I'm going to arrest her, and man, that's going to make me look good. And thus ends Volume 1 of Catwoman Lonely City. We're going to jump right into Body 2, Collecting Strays, which is a very cute name. And we cut to Joker at 10 years ago, Fool's Night. We find out that Joker had kind of set up, like, basically an app.
Yep.
with
technology.
With different little chaotic things for you to do. You signed up for the app and you were given some sort of chaos. Yeah. So he activates all his little clown foot soldiers and just starts the whole town going nuts. And this is where we see pretty much the Bat family. It's Batwoman, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Robin. And Catwoman is there. And they're watching like this chaos. And they've got to split up. They got to do crowd control here, but they've also got to go see if Gordon's okay, because Joker's got Gordon.
I really do appreciate the fact that it seems like all of the villains, for all of the stuff that they're willing to work together, no one likes Joker.
No. There are so many comics where it's like, there's a team, and they try and put Joker on it, but he's such a fucking asshole. He's such a fucking edgelord. Like, you can't trust him. This whole chaos for chaos sake, I'm like, that's great if you're, like, trying to write a philosophy book. But in the real world, it makes you fucking useless to anything, any plan. Like,
well, it's not, like, Catwoman is obviously on Batman's side here. Yeah. And, like, she'll work later with Eddie, and she works with Croc, and like
Poison Ivy,
and like it's also something in the Poison Ivy Harley Quinn thing where like Joker no one likes Joker. No one likes Joker. You could work with just about anybody else, but nobody's working with Joker.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, she wants Batgirl wants to go to Gotham Central check on her dad, and Batman's like, you can't. And she's like, it's my father. And Batman's like, exactly why you can't be there. And Catwoman straight up says, we'll handle it, Barbara. Don't worry, we'll save him. So that's where...
I just wonder if Barbara would have also been mad at Bruce. Because Bruce is just as much to blame.
Had he lived? Probably. I think that is probably true. Then we cut to Catwoman, and she can't sleep because Croc is on her couch snoring. And let me just say, yeah, we've been there. We cut to Barbara Gordon saying, outside of what is a Lady Green Beans tea and coffee. This will come into play later. It's basically their Starbucks. Mm-hmm. And Barbara's saying, she's saying, I don't think I'll ever get used to them with those guns. And he's talking about the Batman security agents, because how weird it is to see. That's what I was saying earlier, how weird it is to see Batman with guns. So Selina's like, I didn't expect you to call me and come see me. And Barbara's like, well, I didn't expect you to mail me my dad's pipe, but you did, and here we are. She's trying to get more information about the Orpheus project.
Related, but not the same thing.
Yeah. And Barbara's like, I don't know. He that was one that he even kept secret from me. And then Barbara actually takes Selina's hand and basically gives her the Harvey speech, but delivered from a better place. Yeah. Do not go back into this life, please. There's only one way it can end, especially, no offense, but especially at your age. This is not, like you said, Catwoman's a young gal's game. And it was a very sweet moment. It just kind of...
It is actually from a place where, because Barbara actually cares about Catwoman, as opposed to you'll end up used and washed up and useless. It's more of a, I love you.
I don't want to see you hurt.
I don't want to see you hurt.
Yeah.
I may still be mad at you, but I love you and I don't want to see you hurt.
Yeah. So it's nice that those two seemingly at this point have moved past that whole blame. Like, I think Barbara, like you said, had time to think about it and was like, okay, she's not responsible for that. Even if she did say she was going to rescue him. So then we cut to a...
this fucking workout montage.
Cue Eye of the Tiger.
I loved it.
We have a Killer Croc Selina. And it's just a few panels, but you really get the relationship between these two, and it's fucking adorable. Mm-hmm. And they're training with Ted Kord. Now, Ted Kord is the Wildcat. He's a member of the Justice Society of America, which was the precursor to the JLA. Another dude without superpowers, dressed up like a cat and punched the shit out of things. Like, he was like a boxer, considered the best boxer. Catwoman trained under him originally, one of the people she learned from. Also, Black Canary and Batman learned from Ted Kord.
He's an equal opportunity employer.
Ted Kord pretty much taught every superhero how to punch. How do you punch a guy?
Hey.
Yeah, so it's really cool that he's in there. And it's also cool that, like, Croc wants his autograph. That's very cute.
It was adorable.
Yeah. Very cute. So then she's heading to Chinatown. She's going to do we see the cops overstepping their grounds.
These knockoff RoboCops are very unlikable.
Seeing an Asian guy and checking his papers via their, like,
I do like that the other dude, like, this is a little bit more of this community support that I appreciate. Yeah. Because this dude's like, that's fucked up. Like, he's straight up, not the guy being interrogated, but the dude beside him tells the cop, like...
The guy who's shopping at his food stall.
Yeah. Like, that's fucked up.
And the cop straight up says, mind your business, citizen, and puts his hand on his gun, which is, that ain't a cop thing.
Right.
And, so Selina is going to visit a friend of hers. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to... Rowena. And, there's a little cute scene before that with a couple of people trying to steal some Batman shoes. Some limited edition, custom 89 Bat Force.
Yeah.
I think 89 is when the first Batman movie came out.
Aww.
And the shoe he's holding on his right looks like the old Batman outfit. So I don't know if that's a connection, because I'm not sure. I meant to check that date, but I did not have time. But she's got skateboards and snowboards with superhero gimmicks on it and the whole 9 yards.
She also, her Superman sweater, this is just a bit of useless information.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same thing as, like, the Supreme brand that is really popular.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the same lettering and...
Oh, that's cute. Also, what's cute is that this place that sells hero paraphernalia, I know words, I do words, is actually...
That is yet to be determined.
A cover for a place where they make equipment for supervillains. So the irony is strong with this one.
Hey,
So Selena's here to pick up new gear. Her other gear's been letting her down because it's 10 years old. Yeah, it hasn't been taken out of the closet in 10 years. Like those pants you thought you could wear till you tried them on.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. I'm aiming for my gut in this one. My slightly oversized gut. I like that she brings out Winston and saddles Selena with Winston, which turns out not to be a bad thing. But basically, she's like, look, Winston wants to get into the criminal gang, and
he needs some work experience.
So I'm sending him with you. He's also wearing a Black Adam t-shirt, who is a villain in the DC universe. So it's funny that behind the scenes they have villain versions of the same goods they sell out in the front.
So we also, when we meet Winston admits to having a poster of Catwoman.
And we get a little panel of the poster.
Yeah, and then he kind of like gets all nervous about what he used to do with the poster. We all know what Winston did with that poster. I just want...
With the moon and the purple costume?
Yep.
It's okay, Winston.
We all know what Well, I just also want to point out, because later when we meet Edie, she mentions having a poster, and I just want to... I'll draw more attention to it then, but that's just the difference between the male and the female gaze.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a very cute scene. So yeah, it's like, all right, Winston, you're on the team. So the next scene, we see Selena dressing up so she can go to a very high-end hotel in Gotham. And Croc wants to go too. He's like, I like getting dressed up. Why can't I go with you? And Selena says, because you're a giant fucking crocodile. That's why. It's like, and Winston's like, you want to trade? She's got me looking like Bruce Lee. He's like dressed like a chauffeur.
Yep.
And that's how Bruce Lee dressed up in the old 60s show, The Green Hornet. That was the costume that Bruce Lee wore. And Selena straight up says, you should be so lucky. So they're going to the gate, and apparently she made it look like she got robbed here one time. Mm-hmm. And the owner of the hotel has been trying to, quote unquote, make it up to her ever since. So whenever she shows up, he just puts her in the nicest suite and probably comps all her charges.
Yep.
But the person who was supposed to have that is this lady named, surprise, surprise, Karen. And the man who is brokering this deal for Karen is fucking losing his shit because he just lost his
fancy room.
He lost his fancy room, and the man deserves a fancy room for Karen. Blah, 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 blah. And interestingly enough, while he's talking, there's a girl behind him dressed in green and purple. This will come into play later.
Goddamn color scheme.
Yep. He is yelling and screaming. He is basically being a Karen as an advocate for a Karen. But
comes with the territory.
Selena coughs behind him. He glances back and he's like, fine, I'll take the next biggest suite you have.
This isn't going to work out for you.
Yeah. Or he's like, hey, don't make a fuss. I'm doing a thing here. And professional courtesy, he doesn't. We'll find out more about that later. And she walks by him and whispers, meet you in the bar tonight. And he says, sure. And then you see him and the girl in the green and purple watching them leave. And he's got this smile on his face. And we find out that that's because this is none other than the star of comics, the greatest of the greats, Mr. Edward Nygma, the Riddler. Still alive and kicking.
I bet you were happy about
that.
I
was so happy. I was like, oh my god, Riddler's in this.
I really appreciate the line here because he says something about I was doing a lot of coke. And
well, they were talking about each other's costumes. He was like, Selena, the boots, really? It's like, what about you? The bodysuit and the cane? It's like, look, I was doing a lot of coke then.
I died.
Yeah, but that just proves my point, which is, even with the mask on, we weren't really trying to hide. You don't dress up like that unless you want to be seen.
Also true.
Yeah.
This is a theater troupe.
Yeah. Once again, we have a conversation between two old criminals. But I like this one more because these two they often end up together. In comics, they often get shipped together because they have so much in common. They're both criminals. They're both masters of their art, like both master thieves.
Yeah.
Like, so I've always considered that like they're probably equal. They're probably equal. I feel like Batman just hits Eddie harder because he's a guy, which is very sexist. And
you got to use what advantages you can get.
Oh, truth about that. And they talk about what they like, and this is a very cute line from Eddie. He says, he's talking about Batman. He's like, I think he got a kick out of it. I think, out of everyone, I think he liked tingling with me the best.
He had sex with Catwoman. I think she wins, sir.
That's not tingling. That's a different sort of dance. Yeah, but I also like, during these panels, they show these little panels of, and they change the art style. They kind of do like a
flashback.
Well, I'm talking about how the coloring's different. It looks like where you have the dots, the pixelated, when they're showing an old scene. So you get an old picture of the Riddler, like, doing one of his, like, But they also did that when they were talking about Catwoman's poster.
Yep.
So there's a lot of that to let you know when these things are happening. But yeah, it's very cute. I think he liked working with me best. But they're having a good time. He talks about being sober for 12 years. He apparently met a girl named Lorena, had a child with Lorena. She passed away.
Lorena, that is. Because the child...
Lorena passed away, and he decided to help Edie to be a better father and get into Edie's life. And those two are now swindling rich people. So, yeah. good
I'm
on
here
you.
For this.
Yeah, he's like, I even worked for Harvey Dent. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you swindled Harvey Dent. That guy deserves it.
You know what? This makes more sense later. Now it makes more sense later. He used to work for Harvey.
Yeah.
I missed that bit.
Yeah. And gives her a wink and his phone number. He's like, hey, if you ever need anything, I'm around. And then we get a flashback to Batman and Catwoman's first encounter. She's actually dressed like she is in the 60s TV show. And they're having their little combat. And there's a cute little scene where, like, she's got him tackled. And he, like, puts his arm around her. But he's just unhooking the necklace that she stole. And she's like, oh, Jesus, live a little, Batman. And she runs off. So that was a very cute little flashback to their old life. So now we've got our computer guy, Winston, Killer Croc, our muscle, and Selena, our finesse gal. And the three of them are planning to break into the Batcave under Wayne Manor.
Yep. That's the hit.
Yeah, that's that one last heist. Catwoman is telling them it's like there's so much tech in there, you guys will be rich, but she's obviously going to figure out what this Orpheus project is.
Yep.
Batman's dying wish was something about an Orpheus project. She wants to find out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Winston's like, it's going to be hard to get through, but I figured out a plan. We're going to steal a Green Lantern ring. If you can't beat the superheroes, join them. Take their fucking powers. Which I kind of like. And then there's a very funny scene where Killer Croc's like, oh man, I want to drive the Batmobile. Once we get in there, I want to drive the Batmobile around. And the kid's like, you can't do that. He's like, kid, don't piss in my soup, kid. Let me dream a little.
I wrote down that Croc needs anger management.
Yes. You are correct on that. Very cute. So then they do... we're getting our first of what will be 2 or 3 major heists. And she's in her new getup.
Which I really like.
Yeah, I dig her new get. It's very simple. It's got a hoodie on top because it's cold in Gotham. But it's a very good look. The actual cover of this one, you get to see her new outfit. And she's got the Green Lantern ring on. You see the little green circle. Cliff, killing it on covers. I haven't mentioned it yet, but man, the cover art for all of these is really good.
It is.
So when she gets into this like secret facility where the Green Lantern ring is, there are tons of Easter eggs. Behind her is a ton of like, they look like little microwave ovens, but they're little cells that have all the different stuff from various superheroes and supervillains. And you can find...
I didn't even clock because I don't know enough about DC to worry about it.
I'm not going to bore you with the details, except for one, because this is the gas mask and the gun from the Sandman. The DC comic hero, not the Vertigo Sandman, but if you recall, when Sandman's trying to get his shit back and he has to get his sand, he talks about a superhero that used his sand for a while. That's the Sandman. And this is the Sandman's mask and gun.
All right.
Yeah, so little nod to the Neil Gaiman Sandman universe, which is a nod to the original Silver Age comic universe. It's circles and circles, Cecilia. So she breaks in, she finds the ring, but unfortunately the lantern, which is what charges a power ring, broken.
It's always something.
Always fucking something. So they have to do some finagling to get out of this. I will mention that Killer Croc is wearing a t-shirt that says Telepathic Ape on it. And it's a picture of an ape. And I would wear that t-shirt. Security shows up, and they're actually chessmen, which is they used to be a criminal firm, but now apparently they're in private security. They never mention it.
Everybody goes straight, and it's just the same thing.
Yeah, everybody goes straight and is still doing the same thing. And long story short, she gets in a situation where she has to use the teleportation of the ring to get away. Mm-hmm. And she does. Unfortunately, though, she gets photographed. So the Gotham Post has a picture of Catwoman on the roof of a building. Yep. And people are super happy about it. You get a picture of Riddler noticing, like looking at the paper like, I can't believe she didn't let me in on this shit.
How dare you?
Yeah, come on. I love a good crime. I'm a heist guy. And Two-Face, we cut to Two-Face, and he's talking about tearing down the old Monarch Theater, which, if you remember, outside the Monarch Theater is where Bruce Wayne's parents were killed all those many years ago. This is something I just connected, that gentrification for Two-Face is really an interesting concept, because it's tearing, at least in his eyes, it's tearing down the old and ugly and putting a new face on top of it. It's changing the city to more resemble the good side of his face. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like he's tearing away the ugly part of him and replacing it with the good part of him.
You know, some plastic surgery probably could have done wonders for Two-Face.
Right. And he keeps talking about, and you'll see it all through this, he says, I'm a good man. I'm a good man. I'm a good man. Like, he has to convince himself.
So someone asks him at some point about the residents of Crime Alley.
Yeah.
And the answer is that he says something about...
The Weasel says, we have market rate offers for all the families and businesses here in crime. Park Row. Next.
So someone asks him, how is Catwoman still on the streets? And he says, that's something I would like to ask the commissioner myself.
And it shows the commissioner, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, he just threw me right under the bus.
And yeah, basically he says something about, he has a talk with the commissioner.
Yeah, and the commissioner, and this is where we first find out that they're decommissioning Batman's stuff. Like, you see the Batmobile here being torn apart. Mm-hmm. So they're using Batman's technology, what they can get. Most of it's still sealed away in the Batcave, but what they can get a hold of, they're using it to power Two-Face's hold over the city. Mm-hmm. That's why the cops have like this super tech over the average citizenry. And yeah, the commissioner basically is like, hey, saw your speech, Harvey. Kind of threw me under the fucking bus there a little bit. I wrote, surprise, surprise. Harvey Dent is Two-Face.
I wrote, yeah, Cormish, don't worry about it. I'm sure a dude named Toothpaste is trustworthy.
Exactly.
Like, this is why
hard
are
to
you
feel
surprised?
Bad for the commish. Yeah. So he's a little upset. Meanwhile, Catwoman is becoming a bit of a celebrity. People are starting to wear Catwoman masks because she is kind of a sign of the rebellion against the curfews, the fucking military state, the destruction of their towns, of their neighborhoods. Yep. Catwoman has become the face of this movement. So you're seeing all these people with these little Cheshire Cat face masks on. Selina's upset because she's realized that the power ring isn't going to help because she used all the energy to teleport away and there's no way to charge it. Yep. So that ended up being a dead end. And she's like, fuck it, we're going with plan B now. What is plan B, you ask? Well, we are getting there. She's calling in the, I don't even know what to call them, the alternates, I guess.
Calling in the backup.
Eddie Nigma and his daughter Edie coming in hot to add to this team. And then my favorite line, Killer Croc's a little upset. He's like, oh, we're splitting this 5 ways now? And he says, hey, Croc, riddle me this. What's jack shit split 3 ways? Basically saying, you can't do this without me, bud. So you might as well suck it up.
I actually really like the interactions between Selena and Edie.
Yeah.
So,
speaking to her in Spanish.
Yeah, she speaks to her in Spanish, and Edie says it's nice, or Selena says it's nice to have another woman around here. And Edie's like, yeah, you're one of my heroes. And they're talking about the posters, and this is the part that I thought was really funny. And she asks which one she had, and Edie's like, Red Sky, the one where you're wearing that black costume with the goggles, that was my favorite. And then Selena says, good choice. And she looks over at Winston, all judgmental.
And Winston's like, what?
Poor Winston.
Yeah, Winston not catching a break here. Yeah, then he's talking about Winston, meanwhile, so now that he's the center of attention, he's got this special mask. What's her name? Comes over with new equipment for everybody, including some medicine for Selena, including some herbs and salves that were homemade and smell like ass. But brought a helmet for Winston that lets him... He was going to try and get Selena to wear, because it's basically similar to the helmets that the Bat Cops wear that lets you be aware of your surroundings and, like, know what you're seeing and stuff like that. She's like, this is not quite ready for me yet.
This is too big.
Yeah.
This is bulky. We're not messing with this.
So she's like, hey, we've got to commit a crime for someone who's going to back the rest of this. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do a robbery for someone, and then they're going to give us the money we need to break into the Batcave. And there's a very funny scene where she says, Winston and Eddie are on surveillance. And surveillance, Edie and I will go inside, and Croc's the courier. And Edie says, oh, Edie, by the way, wearing a Wonder Woman hoodie. Edie's like, oh, old school. And Eddie's like, I think you mean classic, honey. Eddie does not like his daughter saying he's old.
Children.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And the interesting thing is the place they are robbing is Ace Chemicals, the famous joint where Joker became the Joker. They're sneaking in. It's another heist scene. Meanwhile, Croc has snuck in from underneath the water. Mm-hmm. He is wearing Ocean Master scuba diving gear. Ocean Master, a villain of Aquaman. Like, there's a lot of villain, like, clothing lines in this.
Hey, make your money where you can.
Make your money, make your money, make your money. And there's a scene where they're running from one security guard who was in the bathroom. No one noticed. And so now they've got to run away. And there's a great scene where Edie is doing some amazing-ass acrobatics. Mm-hmm. And Catwoman is just blown away. Selena's like, even at my best, was I ever as fast as her? Am I the weak link here? And I wrote, like, he could be the best thief of them all. Like, she idolized Catwoman. Mm-hmm. Edward Nygma is her father. Mm-hmm. Like, she might end up being the ultimate criminal. Like, the best of both of those worlds. Like, you know. Edie's got promise. That's all I'm saying. A lot of promise.
I would read a book about Edie. Absolutely.
I would absolutely. I hope they do another in this universe story. I would love it. Like, I mean, it ends so well. Maybe not, but long story short, they get out with the things they need to get out with, and we cut to Harvey Dent and Barbara Gordon having a debate, and I like this because Barbara gets under Eddie's skin. Harvey's skin. Thank you. And he starts scratching the scarry side of his face. He starts tapping his finger, and he has to grab it with his other hand to stop it. And these are nervous tics that Two-Face had.
Yeah.
And Harvey is exhibiting, and it's making him nervous. And
Harvey handles defeat really poorly.
He does. I don't think he's had a lot of challenge up to this point. But yeah, he's very upset. Barbara ends up winning this debate pretty handedly. And now we cut to Brazil. And you're like, what are we doing in Brazil? And Eddie figures it out right before the rest of us. He's like, oh, I get it. Turns out that coffee house...
Poison Ivy!
That coffee house that we saw earlier is one of a bunch of them owned by one Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy is thick, by the way.
Yeah.
I am 100% here for this.
She is operating out of Brazil, and she's gorgeous.
She's
big, bold, and beautiful now.
I love it. Here's the thing. Out of all of the villains, I like Catwoman. I've always enjoyed Catwoman. Poison Ivy has always been my favorite.
Were you super psyched when she popped up here?
I was so happy to see her. I love her so much.
Yeah.
And, like, she is thriving.
This is like me with Eddie. Yeah. Like, when Ivy showed up, you're like, oh, things just got good.
She is thriving. Here's the thing. I fully support Poison Ivy. I am... There's a small chance that if I hadn't had children and settled down in life, I'd have been a Poison Ivy myself. Like, I enjoy Ivy.
Yes, she is the Lady Green Beans of Green Beans Coffee. She has started a coffee empire in Brazil that seems to actually be helping the people. And, she's doing the Lord's work out of Brazil.
I love her so much.
And making money that she uses to fund
like fair trade.
Goodwill projects, such as Selena Kyle's. And I love the scene where Croc's like, hey, I really need to pee. And she's like, oh, just pee on one of the plants. And it shows these, like, huge Venus flytraps. And Croc's like, Poison Ivy's like, I'm kidding. Don't piss on my floor, you animal. Fernando, take them all to their rooms so they can freshen up before dinner. Oh, I'm so excited. Like, you feel the love here. Like, she is so happy to see Selena and Croc and Eddie. Like, she's just like...
She's excited.
It's like a fucking high school reunion. It's like an Arkham family reunion for her.
But she's also... So what she was doing with the stuff that they stole...
Oh, yeah.
Is... It's bad for the environment, basically. The fertilizer or whatever this company is making.
Yes.
And she stole it so that she can, like... Destroy it. She can backroot it and, like, destroy the way it harms the environment. Yeah. So, like, again, totally here for it. I love Ivy. Yeah. I am 100% an Ivy fangirl.
Yes. So then we cut to that night and everybody's partying down. There's a beautiful Killer Croc who is dressed like a Brazilian gigolo, is cutting a rug out on the dance floor. Time. Yeah, and Winston's like, looking good, Croc. He's like, should have seen me in my prime, kid. I was smooth.
Aww.
So they're having a good time. Poison Ivy and Selena are talking. Selena's kind of letting Ivy know about her insecurities. That, like, out of this team, she is the one that is less useful. She's holding the team back. She's putting them in danger because you need the team to be cohesive. There can't be a weak link because what they're doing, they're having good times, but what they're doing is dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
And Ivy, being the good friend that she is trying to cheer her up. She's like, you worry because you care. That's a good leader. Also, Selena is in a weird situation because she has never cared about anyone. I mean, not she's never cared about anyone. She's always not worried about anyone. That's why she does all her shit alone. So she doesn't have to worry about
fear
anyone else.
Being like a leader of a team.
Yeah, or having a family. Just people that you care about. You are now worried about them as well as yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's last time she let that happen seemed to be the night that Gordon and Batman died, and she went to prison for 10 years. So last time she did that, it ended badly. So she's having trouble. She's not just worried about herself. She's having trouble opening up to her team. Mm-hmm. Eddie comes up, very cute. He's like, hey, kids are showing us up. Come out here and cut a rug with me. And she's a little depressed. And Ivy, seeing that she's not in the mood, is like, Eddie, I'll dance with you. Us redheads gotta stick together. Gives a little wink back to Selena.
I love Ivy so
and her
much.
And Eddie go to cut a rug. The green team.
The green team.
And this is when Edie catches Selena alone and asks if she can train her. She's like, Eddie was great with, like, the tactical, logical things, but he's not so much of the physical. I need someone to teach me the physical stuff. And Selena says she'll think about it. No promises. Edie reacts as if she has just promised to train her.
Edie is excited. Well, I mean, I imagine if you meet a hero and you're like, can you do this? And they're like, look, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you. Even that is like, that's not a no. No. You didn't say no.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we want. Yeah, and then we cut to Two-Face, who is furious that he's lost that debate. And that the gap between him and Barbara Gordon is narrowing. Mm-hmm. And On his desk, he keeps his old Two-Face coin from his days as Two-Face, he says as a reminder. But at this juncture, he shatters the glass that it's behind and pulls it out, and he's like, oh, we need a new campaign slogan. How about Harvey Dent, the only choice? Implying that he's going to wish a whole lot of harm on Barbara Gordon. We don't know if that's true or not, but that's the impression that the end of book 2
Again, he handles
with.
defeat so well.
He's the man is a big brave boy. Book 3, Blood and Thunder. Now Blood and Thunder opens with us back in the prison. This is Selina with her prison life, and you see that there's a girl that she kind of once again.
Someone asked her for help.
Ask her for help. She tries to help them. They leave her corpse in her bed as a warning to her. And then you watch the rest of the years come by. Like a panel like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And in every panel she's alone.
Yeah.
So after she opened up her heart to this one girl and realized it was a mistake. Well, the cellmates killed her. As a message to Selina, she decided, okay.
Yeah, poor Yona. That was the girl's name.
Yeah, can't do that again. Cannot do that again. Then we cut to Dr. Tompkins. Dr. Leslie Tompkins she runs a free clinic out of Crime Alley. Famous in the Batman lore as, like, the person who stitches him up when it's more than Alfred can handle. And kind of a person who would have been a mother figure to Bruce if Bruce had let her. And I like this. There's a scene where Selina is once again asking about Orpheus because she doesn't know what she's going to find when she breaks into the Batcave. Information is power. Did Bruce ever say anything? And Leslie says, I'm sorry we didn't talk like that. I wish we had. He only ever came to me with broken bonds and a bruised ego. And this is such a sad line. To me, Orpheus is just the story of a boy who lost his way. Which, of course, the story of Orpheus is about him going into Hades and losing his way on the way back
trying
up.
To get his lover back. And
looking back when he shouldn't. Yeah, so a boy that lost his way.
This is also where they establish... Is this where they establish Alfred?
Yes. I shouldn't complain. Look at what happened to poor Alfred. Complete remission, a miracle, only to die in his sleep. I don't want to go like that.
I actually wrote down that I was relieved that Alfred died. I was just happy that he didn't get murdered by a villain.
Yes, we will find out more about Alfred. Alfred has an amazing part to play in this, as usual. Alfred,
I love him.
MVP, and this is just a thing where Bruce had so many chances to have the family that he lost with Dr. Leslie Tompkins, with Alfred,
with Catwoman,
and he talks later about how they're watching Tim as Robin, and he talks about how Tim is not good because of Batman. He's good because he had the loving parents. Batman realizes how important that is to a young child. If he had been able to realize how important it is to an adult, he might could have
gotten out of this.
He might could have, or at least been a little more Dick Grayson-y in his handling of his superhero identity. A little less damaged, a little more, wholesome vigilante. But he didn't realize Dr. Leslie for what she was while she was there. And that was a sad thing for me.
I am here for Ivy making out with people.
Yeah, go on. And Ivy's like, oh, I miss this town. Ivy's got all these cool, like, rose tattoos on her arms and stuff. She looks like a biker chick in this scene. And she looks so badass. Yeah. She's got the We Can Do It rosy bandana tied around her head and shit. But yeah, everybody's training. Even Winston and Eddie are on, like, elliptical bikes. Even the computer nerds are trying to get a little cardio.
Hey, you gotta be able to run, man. You gotta be able to run.
You gotta be able to run. Yeah. But yeah, they're all having they're all trying. Fucking Killer Croc, we've been watching him try and lift these weights. He finally gets them over his head. He's like, I'm the motherfucking king of Gotham! And Winston starts chanting, King Croc, King Croc.
Aww.
Very cute. So now they need another piece for their puzzle, and they have to get it from Arkham Asylum. We are visiting all the famous old haunts. We've gone to Wayne Manor. We've gone to the Monarch Theater. Now we're heading out to Arkham Asylum. Like, we're hitting all the Ace Chemicals. We're hitting all the must-see locations on a Batman road
regular
tour.
tourist jaunt.
Yeah. It turns out what they're trying to do is get a little piece of Clayface. Another Bat villain making an appearance here. Another really cool, like, little heist scene. I won't go into the details, but it's just... On 6 and 7, you get to see that they've got this down to a science.
Yeah.
Like this toss out the window scene to Selina, who's on the...
Cutting down the tree.
Yeah. It's so well done. And they have a truck rigged with a remote control to, like, lead people away while they're actually escaping through the sewers. Mm-hmm. This is interesting to me, anyway, because Riddler's first ever crime was a very similar thing, where he actually distracted people here while he escaped out through the sewers. Yeah. So I bet this was Eddie's. This was
probably, yeah.
Because Eddie's even the one that says, like, oh, these train lines go all the way out here because this was a project of Bruce and Thomas Wayne. They were trying to connect the whole city.
Yeah.
Public transportation. They were trying to do public transportation. So yeah, Eddie's plan is to take the sewer lines and get away.
Unfortunately,
the Bat Kitty Cops are here. The Kitty Cops. Selina notices, thank God, and sends the train car they're riding on up and on fire, and sends it ahead of them to attract the cops. They have to bust through a door, which unfortunately causes the ceiling to collapse. Killer Croc catches the ceiling so that everybody can get through, and the cops shoot Croc. And unfortunately, this broke my fucking heart.
I did not expect to tear up over the lizard, but that fucked me up.
Yeah, that fucked me up so bad. And he talks about, like, how he used to be the king of Gotham, and he tells her she has to shoot him because, like, he's buried up to, like, his neck. And he's basically telling her to make it quick.
Because they won't.
And, thank you, Selina. And they're like, Selina, we gotta go. And she's like, I know. She pulls the trigger. And Harvey Dent puts Killer Croc on display like a fucking trophy hunter. He literally has a table with a cloth over it that he flips off to be like, hey, everybody.
Got one of them.
I told you I'd keep you all safe. Here's a bullet-ridden body to prove it. And this puts Catwoman into a despondent, like, dive.
Well, that's what she was worried about. She was worried about someone getting hurt. She didn't want to be involved.
And blaming herself.
Yeah.
And she's like, he would not be in this if I had not brought him. There's also a scene here where Barbara Gordon has joined the cat protesters outside the Monarch Theater. And she asks, nobody feels safe here anymore. But the problem isn't crime, it's the mayor. All these tanks and guns. Is he at war with us? And I feel like anytime you see these over-armed police officers with these fucking SWAT vehicles.
All the militarization.
Yeah, the question, is he at war with us? Especially when you live in like a poor, heavily policed area. That's got to be the question going through your head most of the time. Barbara Gordon is speaking to the people. Which is why she's winning this fucking election right now.
Well, only in fiction can the person who clearly wants the best for the people actually win. So, going on.
Yeah, painful but true. And Two-Face, it's showing him in his office, and he's got his coin out now, and people are like, I'm worried about you with that coin. You're starting to do some Two-Facey shit with that coin. And he says, it's just a little theater, Leland. Everything's under control. I'm just trying to do the right thing here, to be better than I was, to be a good man. Why can't they see that? And, it's maybe because you're not being a good man. Yeah. So then we're at the wake at the bar. We got Killer Croc with, like, some candles around his picture. Not his body, just, like, a picture of him in the bar.
Yeah, they're not Two-Face.
Yeah, and Selina's straight up like, I can't do this. I can't fucking do this. And Eddie's like, hey, let's take a walk. So they're walking. And this, honestly, Selina kisses Eddie. They go home and have a sort of probably weird riddle-filled love affair. I don't know. But before that, the part that blows my mind and shows a lot of growth for Eddie, because the narcissist, egotist Eddie would never have said this in the past. He straight up tells her, Selina, you're the best thief this town's ever seen. Croc knew it, I knew it, and everyone back at that bar knows it. And if you can't do it, no one can. But it's your call. Like, for Riddler to admit someone else is a better criminal than him, that blew my mind even more than the kiss that comes next. I was like, wow, a lot of growth, Eddie. A lot of growth. Look at you, able to say someone's a better criminal than you. And I also like, he's like, it's your call. Like, I'm not going to pressure you. If you want to call this off, because Selina's like, I'm done with this whole thing. I can't watch anyone else die. And Eddie's like, if you don't do this, no one can, but I'm with you either way. Which, nice of Eddie. Which, and there's a very cute scene where she kisses him. And Eddie's like, are you sure about this? And she's like, Eddie, for once in your life, don't overthink it. Which, that's not Riddler's problem from start to finish. I don't fucking know what is. And then it shows them post-coitus, lying in bed together. And he's like, can I ask you something? And she says, it's kind of late for riddles. And basically they both reveal why they are concerned about the Batcave, what this obsession is all about. And I like this because she asks him, what does Orpheus mean to you? And he says, love lost, bargaining, finding your way out of the darkness. It's about grief, isn't it? Every time I look at Edie, I still see her mom, but it's not painful like it used to be. I had to let her go. What if, how do you pronounce Eurydice?
Yeah. Eurydice.
Eurydice's spirit couldn't follow Orpheus out of the underworld. What if Hades was actually giving Orpheus a gift, not a command, but advice, which was, don't look back. And I like this because, honestly, everyone is basically... Sorry, I dropped my notes. I was trying to get them while continuing to talk. That was a mistake. Everyone's giving Selina the same advice. Like, you can't live in the past. Stop doing this Catwoman shit. But I like that Eddie's doing it through the Orpheus fable. Like, he's giving her the same advice everyone else, but with the typical, Riddler flair in Greek mythology. Like, I just like this whole scene. And I also like that he's the one that figures out, like, how they can get in. He's like, then again, maybe it was just a cool code name, Project Orpheus. We are talking about Batman here, an eccentric billionaire trying to scare the hell out of... Ooh, I've got it! The answer to our prayers. And sure enough, Eddie had figured out that some mask at the Gotham Museum was holding a secret. There's a scene where they've got to steal it. And I love the scene where they're breaking in because they're all doing their little, like, one-liners and stuff.
So, Ivy asks him how he knew about the mask. And he's like, it's just one of my hobbies. And Ivy says he should get out more. I giggle.
Come on. That's not Eddie's. Eddie don't get out more. Eddie's
I did enjoy the trip down memory lane. Yeah. It was fun.
This is kind of fun, though, right? Just us three. I'm half expecting Robin to show up. Holy history buffs, Batman. And Poison Ivy poses, and she's like, you'll soon find my blooms are as deadly as they are beautiful.
I love her so much.
And even Catwoman comes up and says, hey, Ivy, you were perfect.
Aww.
So all three of them are getting into the old-timey heist goofiness. But Selina does have a little... crisis of faith here where she's not sure she can commit the crime, but they help her. It's team effort, and they get it out of there. And I think she gets a little bit of her confidence back there. And they leave one of the Catwoman masks that everyone's wearing. So the reason they stole this statue is because it actually, within it contains Dr. Fate's helmet. Dr. Fate being a magical super being of the DC universe, kind of their Doctor Strange. And they take it to a guy named Jason Blood. And
I didn't know who the guy in the suit was, but I was sus.
Yeah, Jason Blood, also known as Etrigan, although Etrigan is actually a demon he possesses inside of him. Another Neil Gaiman Sandman reference. In the comics, when Sandman is first going to hell, the demon that takes him to meet Lucifer is not the demon from the Netflix show. It's Etrigan.
Oh.
It's this demon. Yeah. They even talk about the rhyming in the Sandman comic. They talk about, and they'll mention it here as well, because Etrigan in the old comics used to rhyme with everything he said. A lot of comic writers find reasons to have him not do that anymore because it's annoying as fuck. Some stick with it, just depends. It's canon that it dictates your level of royalty within hell. Lower demons don't rhyme, higher demons do, as a general rule. But then there's higher demons that also don't rhyme, just again, so they don't have to do it if they don't want to. But Jason Blood is a guy on Earth who actually has this demon within him. So, and Eddie's like, this is the guy who's going to help us out. And Jason Blood starts doing a little Selena Kyle flirting, which makes Eddie a little jealous.
I was going to say, it seems like Eddie didn't care for that.
Yeah, Eddie, not a fan. He is not a fan. But we then get a scene of Harvey Dent on a tank telling everyone to go back at his home. And we get the Tiananmen Square scene, basically, with him on the tank and Barbara Gordon rolling up in her wheelchair to stand in front of it. And it's a beautiful shot. It's almost an entire page panel.
About to say, if we're voting for favorite panel,
this is my second favorite in the entire comic. But yeah, there's a scene of Barbara Gordon just staring way up, her neck craned all the way up. Harvey Dent on this huge tank looking down at her, and the camera's on the side of his good face, so it's not Two-Face looking down at her, it's Harvey Dent. Meanwhile, we cut back real quick to Selena and Eddie leaving.
And he calls Selena out for flirting, and he's like, you have a type, don't you?
And she's like, how do you mean? He's like, tall, dark, insanely wealthy. And she's like, oh, I thought you meant redheads. And he's like, ooh. He's like, oh, you're a quick one. And she's like, Eddie, peel off now, because some of these fucking bat cops are around. I like that she's Eddie's no good in a fight.
Yeah.
Eddie, get out of here. You
gotta run.
And this, nice role reversal. She has to protect him.
Well,
he is definitely not protecting her in this situation.
Nope.
I mean, from computer viruses, maybe, but not in this situation. So she runs from the cops, as you would expect. She's running through the graveyard. Meanwhile, and she ends up going into the crowd where Barbara Gordon and Two-Face are having their standoff.
And the crowd parts for her, and that was my most
so good.
It was such a good. It's such.
They
a good
hide
scene.
her in the Monarch Theater.
They are ready and will they move out. It's like, is that Catwoman? Everybody, quick, let her through.
Yeah, we're with you, Catwoman. Let her into the theater.
I love acts of solidarity.
Yeah, she ducks into the theater.
That has some Spider-Man on the train in the Tobey Maguire movie. Energy.
Where all of New York unites with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Two-Face is like, they're harboring a criminal. And he's like, but the commissioner said, he's like, he's not here, is he? Do your fucking job. So they open fire on the crowd, and everyone's going crazy. There's tear gas flying. There's people yelling. Selena, I'm sorry, not Selena. Barbara Gordon is even picked up. Someone yells, goddamn fascist. The tank goes off and actually shoots at the Monarch Theater, which is where Selena is. You find out that the bar that we keep going back to, where they had Killer Croc's wake and stuff, got destroyed. The Monarch Theater got destroyed, which allowed them to demolish it to make way for, I believe they're building a stadium there. Thank God we have another stadium for the Gotham Knights. And Two-Face is again throwing the commissioner under the bus, even though the last thing we saw was him saying, the commissioner's not here, do what I say. But he's like, hey, will we see any more of last night's violence? And he says, well, you'll have to ask the commissioner about that. We can only hope he and his men will be less exuberant in the face of danger. Whew. Yeah, that was fucked up. So he's yelling. They catch the commissioner for comment. He's yelling. He throws his coffee cup away, and some homeless guy grabs it. That homeless guy is Edward Nygma in disguise. And they need that coffee cup because it turns out Clayface's clay, if it is introduced with DNA, can take that shape. Mm-hmm. So they're obviously using Clayface's DNA so they can actually take the form of the commissioner. Sneaky.
Hey.
At this point, Selena is telling Eddie that he's out. He's like, sorry, you and Edie are out. And she says, have you gone back to your old ways? And what she means is Edward Nygma used to not be able to commit any crime without leaving clues. It was a compulsion. Like, he couldn't do it. And all these things where they keep almost getting caught, Selena's like, seems like there's a mole. And she thinks it's the Riddler because who else would be leaving clues and getting them this close to call?
I actually thought maybe that this was because he worked for Two-Face.
Yeah, and that also does not make him look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had it in with Two-Face.
Because I was wondering why she thought it was him. And I didn't understand. I wondered if maybe it didn't have something to do with the fact that they slept together and maybe she thought he was getting too close.
I think that is a little bit of it. I mean, it's not addressed here, but I do think that is subconsciously, that is something that's at work here. But I also think it is, she straight up says, "Why do you need this so badly, Eddie? A taste of the old days? I thought you kicked your habit." She's talking about his habit of leaving riddles and letting people know what he's going to do before he does it. And he's like, "That's not fair." And then him and her both really fuck this up. He fucks it up because he throws this guilt trip on her. He's like, "What about Edie, the training Selina? Don't you owe her an explanation?" He should not have said that. She should not have countered with yelling at him. "I'm not her mom. I'm her fucking boss," where Edie could hear. These two panels, just fuck ups all around. I am not happy with any of this. And Eddie's like, "Let's go, honey." And Edie's like, "Miss Cowell, good luck next week." And Winston's like, "Yeah, I think you fucked up there, but whatever. We got a job to do. Let's do it."
Keep on moving.
Yeah. And the Clayface material is breaking down, so they've got to do the heist tomorrow. So they wanted to plan more, they didn't get to. Meanwhile, Two-Face is finding out that the people who wanted to build the stadium are pulling out. His campaign's going badly. He's freaking out. Everyone fucking left him alone. He's sitting in the dark, flipping tables, breaking glasses. And it's just him sadly leaned up against the glass. And you see his reflection in the glass. And he's talking to himself, saying, "I'm in control. I'm still a good man." But you can tell it's a question, not a statement.
Yeah.
We get another little flashback. We're watching Robin beat up a little cameo by the Royal Flush Gang.
Tim is so cute.
And this is where I was talking about how Batman sees the importance of family, just not for him. But yeah, Tim's jumping from Royal Flush Guy to Royal Flush Guy. He's like, "You get handcuffs, and you get handcuffs." "Sorry, you get zip ties." Like he's out of handcuffs.
Like I said, Tim is so cute. This whole thing is adorable.
And Catwoman's like, "He's a sweet boy, Bruce. You did good." And Bruce said, "I did nothing. Tim's not an orphan like me or Dick. He had a home, people who love him." And then she says, "I'm sorry about Alfred." And so you realize that this is shortly after.
Dad.
Yeah. But it obviously happened recently because this is her first time to address it with him. And then she brings up the one day we'll have to stop. You know that, right? What do you think about life after? Like after Batman, after Catwoman. And he says, "After is a dream. I can't be distracted by it. But when I do let myself dream, Selina, in that life, I'm with you." And it's a very sweet scene.
Yeah, these 10-year flashbacks are murder on my feelings.
Yeah.
Like, absolute murder.
It ain't like that no more.
Yeah. Batman can be sweet every once in a while,
he really
apparently.
Can. Nightwing calls and he's like, "Hey, Joker's getting in some trouble." And we know how all that ends.
Yeah.
But this is right before all that starts. So we watch them using the Clayface stuff and making a commissioner mask so that they can sneak into into Wayne Manor because it's guarded by a bunch of bat goons. And he shows up and he's telling them all to leave, you know. And like, "Hey, get off early, blah, 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 blah." And his face starts melting because the clay is going bad. So he like brushes them off. And there's a very cute scene here where Ivy's yelling at him afterwards. It's Jason Blood under the costume. And she's like, "And you couldn't take one acting class." And Jason Blood's like, "In my time, theater was the province of rogues and scoundrels." And Winston says it was supposed to be Eddie. I love that on so many levels. Number one, Eddie, of course, the consummate showman. Of course, he would have been able to pull that off flawless.
Yeah.
Also, rogues and scoundrels. Eddie is a rogue and a scoundrel. So Jason Blood's not wrong in this instance. But one of the cops is a little suspicious because Jason Blood isn't an actor. He calls it in. Meanwhile, Poison Ivy gets them to where they need to go. She finds the secret entrance to the Batcave. Mm-hmm. So they walk into... Well, I guess the antechamber to the Batcave? The cave before the cave. So they start walking in, and Selina's like, hey, Jason Blood, can you do the thing where you summon that horrible monster that's inside you, that demon, Etrigan? We need him for the next part. He's like, alright, but this dude is hard to control. And Selina mistakenly thinks he died to summon Etrigan, but this is just how Etrigan is summoned. Like, you'll see later that Jason Blood's not dead. Etrigan shows up and is basically just like, I'm going to eat both of you. Fuck all this. And that is how we end part 3.
Nice cliffhanger you got
Nice
there.
cliffhanger of, you're supposed to eat the rich, Etrigan, not the poor criminals. I guess Poison Ivy's rich, so.
But she's also like...
You're halfway there.
She's also not bad.
Right. Yeah, I know. I was just fucking with you. So then we see Joker. We go back to, of course, Fool's Night. Joker. And Fool's Night's just what Joker called this
idea.
This idea of his to make a night where all of Gotham goes crazy.
Can't have it all, Bruce.
Yeah, this is also when we find out that Joker knows his identity in this universe. We cut back to now, modern times, and Etrigan's got them both in Poison Ivy and Selina in chokeholds, seemingly going to eat them both. And Selina's like, if you kill us, Jason Blood's gonna be mad. He's gonna fucking imprison you for 1,000 years, blah, 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 blah. And she says, by Merlin's beard. And Poison Ivy calls her out on it. He's like, Merlin's beard? And Selina's like, just go with it.
Don't question me.
Yeah. And Etrigan, you know the plan. And Etrigan's like, I do, but I feel like a beast of burden. This sucks. And there's a great scene where they're like, he's trying to get through the magical barriers that are keeping... So Batman's got tech keeping people out. He's got solid steel keeping people out. And he's even got magic keeping people out.
I love this. Well, is this the part where it never seems to end? Like the...
Yeah. Where
I love this part because they said something about Superman got in once.
Yeah.
And Batman decided, hey, never again. Yeah. This will last forever.
Just in case you were wondering if Batman was paranoid in this universe too. Yup. There's also a great scene where Etrigan is being a total dick. Where he's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, he can't break this spell. And Catwoman's like, don't just give up, try something. Like, open sesame. And he looks at her with again, Cliff is so good at, like, facial expressions. You just see his eyes, but it is this most, like, pissed off, condescending, like, and then he's just like, open sesame.
You can hear the condescension.
Yeah, Poison Ivy says, wow, maybe they're shunning you in hell because you're a dick.
Again, I love her.
Yeah. And then Catwoman has a fucking brilliant bit of brain power where she thinks, who's the person who would have done this spell? Zatanna. Zatanna does all her magic by saying things backwards. Like, that's how her magic works. So, say open sesame, but say it backwards. And it's very much the Lord of the Rings speak, friend, and enter. It's a very little tricky play on words that gets them past this puzzle. And you have a little scene of her. Zatanna is apparently now a performer in Las Vegas.
Lord have mercy.
She's doing floor shows in Las Vegas with a bevy of shirtless men. So good for her. She looks like she's doing okay.
She's having fun with it, at least.
Yeah. But Catwoman figures out her style. And so they're walking past this and into the next trap, which is some squishy ceiling. Poison Ivy helps out. These two are getting ready to fucking eat each other.
Right.
And she's like, Etrigan's like, I need but a moment. And Poison Ivy's like, don't bother. You're not the first guy who couldn't finish the job. And he's like, thou darest?
She doth dare,
she doth, honey. And Catwoman's like, I'm so sick of both of you. Please stop. We are not here for fun. Like,
she doth, honey. I wrote that bitch down. I'm like, you cannot. I am fucking here for Ivy.
Honey, she doth. Yeah, Selina's not here for either of them at this point.
I understand why Selina is not, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. We cut back to the Fool's Night, and we see everything go down with the explosion. We see Bruce and Joker die together.
Because fucking course they're going to.
Yeah, of course. And Joker, kind of a sad part, where he's like, there's no rhyme or reason to this world. It's all one big joke, and I'm so tired of laughing. And there's just this one shot of Joker with he's not laughing. There's no comedy on his face. You see the toll that this world has taken on him. And then the explosion. At that point, Bruce, Commissioner Gordon, Joker, all gone. And meanwhile, Catwoman has a little, like, bat emblem that Batman gave her before he passed away that she can use to get in. But the only way to activate it is to climb this huge bat signal and, like, hit it on this certain little location.
Yep.
And Jesus Christ, she fucking does it, but she almost falls into a hole and dies to do it. And there's a quick flashback to show where Batman gives her permission to go in the Batcave. He matches her DNA with that. The bat signal she's using to open the door has a DNA match for her on it. And this door opens, and guess what? They are finally in the fucking Batcave. We've waited 4 volumes. This is my favorite panel. On page 15, it is a full page shot of them going into the Batcave. It had to be. They've spent the entire thing getting here. This had to be a full shot. And this gaping emptiness, perfect metaphor for Bruce Wayne's, like, fight. And for Bruce Wayne's soul. Like, I loved this. Like, this is the loneliness that is the Batcave. This is the loneliness that being Batman is. And much like the fact that he built this Batcave down here, it's self-imposed. Bruce Wayne has made this loneliness for himself under this beautiful mansion full of loving family that care about him.
Yeah.
But the Batcave is where he chooses to live. And it's this dark, sad place.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I did want to bring back...
Sure.
So we go to right after Bruce gets exploded.
And yeah.
He's talking about how he should have trusted Selina more. Mm-hmm. And I just really want to point out that this is, like, only being able to understand at the end. Like, that is just such a perfect, like, he can't do it. He can't understand anything until it's too late.
And it's also, you kind of wonder if he had lived, if that would have been true. It's so easy on your deathbed to say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done more of this. And then sometimes people say that shit, and then they live, and then they just go right back to the person they were before. And here's the
change is hard.
Yeah, just so hard. So now they're all looking, because they don't know what the Orpheus thing is. So they're looking through everything. And Edgerton kind of says, this place is a lot like hell. A lot of despair here.
And she says something about not despair, just memories. And I put despair, memories, tomatoes, tomatoes.
Right. Yeah. Good memories, because I'm not seeing a lot of those here.
Yeah. This doesn't seem like it's a happy place.
Yeah. And Winston she hooked Winston up to the Bat computer. So he's hacking the computer. This is when you find out that all the tech that Harvey Dent's been using is stuff he's
stolen
bastardized from Batman. And they had limited access to the Batcave, like remote access, which gave them a little bit of the tech, which is all the stuff that the Bat goons are using now. But yeah, you get that. And at the same time that Winston finds the Orpheus file on the computer, Selina finds it in the cave. And it turns out what it was Ra's al Ghul, quick lesson. Ra's al Ghul has this thing called Lazarus Pit, which he uses to come back to life whenever he dies. It's why he's lived so long. It's why he's called the Demon's Head. But every time you come back from it, you're a little nutty. And Batman took the Lazarus Pit goo, mixed it with venom, which is the stuff that makes Bane a big buff guy, and apparently they canceled each other out. And he did this because because Alfred had cancer, and he was trying to fix it. Mm-hmm. And so apparently they mixed together, and it made Alfred, it got rid of his cancer. He came back stronger and better than ever. But the catch is it didn't last. A week later he's back to being old and dying. And the night that Batman decides to go out, that ends up being Fool's Night, is the night that... Well, no, it's not the night he passes away, because him and Selina are talking about it when it happens. But the night that... One of the nights Batman goes out to fight crime, Alfred says, "My life has been remarkably free of regrets, but keeping you from your duties would be one of them. So, my dear boy, I'm ever so proud of you." Basically telling Bruce to get out there and do Batman stuff. And while Bruce is doing that, Alfred dies in his sleep, which is, as you said, a good way for a good man to go.
Yes. I was actually... I know that Bruce is tore up, and, I mean, he would be. Alfred is one of the few constants that he's had.
Yeah.
But of the ways Alfred could have gone, I feel like that's one of the better.
Absolutely. Like, again, like you said, not killed by cops. There's a sweet...
Not held by one of Joker's weird torture devices.
Yeah, like not forced to like reenact Alice in Wonderland with the Mad Hatter. Nothing like that. Then we get this heartbreaking point where Selina realizes what this was all about. Bruce wanted me to bring him back, to revive him, so he could fight again for a week or however longer he had. The cape came first. I knew that, and yet nothing else mattered. Nobody else mattered, not even me. And this shows where Catwoman has matured beyond Bruce, because to her, all these other people matter. Poison Ivy matters, Eddie matters, like, probably Winston matters, like, these people matter. And then she asked the question she asked way back in issue 1, is it worth it?
So, that's actually, I was going to bring it up. So when...
Do it! So
when we have the first interaction between Selina and Barbara...
Okay.
Back at the police station, Barbara says, "After all this time, there's only one thing I ask myself. None of us ever asked, was it worth it? We wasted so much time dressing up and fighting, but after he died, Bruce's money did more for the city and all those years of us than all of those years of us punching. More programs, more housing."
Not to say we told you so, but go back to Dark Knight, Dark City. Me and Cecilia already talked about this.
Yeah, we might have mentioned, but it's the same question that she's asking again. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Would it have been worth it?
Yeah. I mean, I think she's thinking it wasn't. But I feel like, what about the memories you made along the way? Late nights under the moon, like stealing diamonds? That's worth something. A lot of fun to be had. I would argue, but that's okay. Meanwhile, it turns out that the cops are where Winston is, because he's talking to them via remote, via the computer. But also, they're at Wayne Manor. Like, Harvey Dent and the officers have shown up. Now, I wanted to ask you, Cecilia, at this point, Harvey says, yeah, just like Croc, such a chatty guy, guess I owe him a beer. He's talking about the person who let him know that all this was happening. At this point, did you think it was Eddie?
No, I actually didn't think it was Eddie to start with. Because to me, it seemed like her getting rid of Eddie came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if I thought there was a mole at this point, or up until this point.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. I didn't think there was anybody telling anybody anything to start with.
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was Eddie.
Yes. And it turns out it is, in fact, not Eddie. First of all, you see Etrigan just start eating police officers. And Catwoman's like, my stomach turns, not just from the blood, but the fact that I don't know how to send him back to hell. She's like, I have summoned a demon, and I have no idea what to do
There was
about
no
that.
more thought beyond the summoning.
And then Harvey's like, bring him out. And then we find out the person who's really been dogging them, and the real reason why Harvey's known everything Selina was doing. And it's because he had his own magical force, Clarion. Clarion is a little demon boy.
They so petty.
Yes. He's a little demon boy. He's
a man. He's a man.
I'm saying his history. He's a little demon boy who is now a full-grown adult, or at least an angsty teenager, according to this picture, who thinks he is a full-grown adult. But Clarion is just a demon he's a demon of chaos who has a cat familiar, and he takes on the form of a small child. But he is, much like Etrigan, he is a demon from hell, which gives him the power to do all sorts of demon-y magical stuff, which is how Harvey Dent knew the shit that they were up to. I love Clarion. We have got to watch Young Justice sometimes because Clarion is predominant in that show and he is a magnificent villain. The guy that does the voice of Clarion on Young Justice, work of art. Man's a genius. But Clarion shows up here, which, if you know Etrigan and you know Dr. Fate, it's not that much of a surprise. It kind of seems like a surprise if you don't know these characters, but I'm like, Clarion, that makes perfect sense. Clarion's here, and he gets rid of Etrigan, and Jason Blood shows up, and I love it. He's like, your odds were better with the demon witch boy. It's like, I'm a witch man.
Yeah.
I shall teach you respect. So the three of them, Clarion, his cat familiar, and Blood start doing battle. Jason Blood is basically like, forgive me, Selina, but if any of you are to survive, we must away. So he teleports the two of them out of there because the whole cave's coming down because they're magical energy fight. So now it's just Harvey Dent, some cops, Poison Ivy, and Selina. Time to fight. Now it's just the humans. We got rid of all that magic shit. Now it's just the humans. They start fighting.
Selina deploys the fear gas.
Shoots it with a penguin gun. Because Batman, of course, has all his villain shit just around. Which makes the cops run away. So Harvey's trying to fight on his own. Oh, no, he's still got some other cops with him. Some of them had gas masks on. And Poison Ivy is telling Selina to run. Selina refuses, so Ivy straight up tosses her with vines. Does not give her a choice. And then we get this really beautiful Ivy's farewell speech, which is just glorious. She's like, oh, don't worry about me. I'm a perennial, baby.
I love her so much.
And she's talking to Two-Face now. She's like, I know the kind of Gotham you want, Harvey. Cold and heartless, just like you. But this is my city, too. A city that nurtured a scared young woman. That taught her to love and accept herself. I won't let you take that away from me or anyone else. And she fucking brings the house down. But unfortunately, there is fire everywhere. And you see Ivy seemingly die at this juncture. I've got some good news probably later on for you, Cecilia. But Ivy seemingly dies here.
I was very sad.
It's heartbreaking. Like,
she gives a whole speech and she sacrifices herself to keep Selina safe. And Ivy was so fucking happy to see all of them. Yeah. And it was,
Well, it's the speech about a city that nurtured a scared young woman that taught her to love and accept herself. It's kind of like the cities in these states that are coming out with all this fucking, like, anti-drag show shit. This is a city that protected and nurtured me and taught me it's okay to be this way. And you're trying to change it. And fuck you. And Ivy is the middle finger up, against Harvey and this fucking shitty ass world he's trying to bring into existence. And brings the goddamn roof down on his head, and good on her.
I love her.
Yeah. But Two-Face unfortunately survives.
Ugh.
Yeah. Exactly. And Selina's sitting here trying to decide what to do about the Orpheus pit.
Because she can't let Harvey anywhere near that bitch.
Right. And she's also not sure if she wants to use it. Like, she could be that young Catwoman again for a little while. She straight up asked, how long would I have if I used it? Would it be enough? I don't know if she means, like, enough to beat Harvey and his men when they come in, or like enough to get whatever other thing she wants, or would she feel like she'd been robbed, having a week at her peak and then dying, or living out the rest of her years as she is now. But in the end, she makes the choice to blow it up. She throws some grenades in it and gets the hell out of there.
She actually doesn't. I thought she just looked like she was just sitting down. Like
No, she pulls the pin and drops them in the water.
Yeah, but I meant, like, it doesn't... I thought she was just going to sit there and go with it.
Oh,
at this point...
It looks like she's walking up the stairs. Like, she's trying to get away. I think she's just tired, maybe?
Well, it looks like she's sitting down. Like, I don't...
She's cutting off Yeah, I'm sorry. She goes to the computer and she cuts off the connections so that all the shit that the people were using, all that bat tech is lost.
As it should be.
Yeah, no one... You know who doesn't need that?
The
Any
police.
of these people? Yeah. There's a great bit of poetic justice here where Harvey Dent is yelling at one of his at one of his men, and his man's like, "Do it yourself, asshole!" And Two-Face shoots him.
Yep.
Straight up shoots him, and is like, "Okay, I will." And then, as she's you're right, she's resigned herself to die here. She puts on her a Catwoman mask that Batman had lying around, and she's looking through it. And all of a sudden, someone says, "Miss Kyle?" And she's like, "It's Edie and Eddie, the
Aww.
double E's." So Eddie comes through in the pinch with Edie to rescue her. And they're asking where Ivy is, and she's like, "It's just me." And Eddie, Jesus, I'm sorry. And he's like, "We kind of need to get out of here, though. This place is collapsing." Which I really like. And I also like how they got here. It was like Riddler figured out Dad solved Batman's riddle. Edie's saying it, but Eddie interrupts her because he's so excited. Edie's like, "The front one's in guard, and Dad, he solved..." And Edward's like, "Batman's riddle!" "So I heard rumbling behind the grandfather clock, right? So I said to 10:48. And she's like, "That's when the time his parents were shot." And he's like, "Exactly. But so when Eddie is explaining how clever he is, he's in his element. That's when he's at his happiest." But they go up through the clock entrance and come out, where Harvey, with a handgun, is waiting for her. And he's super mad. He's like, "What did you do in there?" And Selina says, "I blinded you, Harvey." Meaning that she cut off all of his bat tech. And she basically forces him to flip a coin by just talking about the odds. He's like, "Heads, let us go, and you can have it all back. The satellites, the system, everything. But the access code only works if I'm alive, or tails, you can have your revenge. Let's see what the coin says." So he flips the coin. It doesn't come up the way he wants it to, and he is full back into Two-Face persona now. He cannot handle that.
Right.
Which gives Edie and Selina, not Eddie, the time to... Eddie's plan was to get shot.
Yeah.
This is not Eddie's strong suit. Gives them the time
Eddie is Steed in our flag means death.
Yeah,
You just gotta get stabbed in the right spot, and we can make it through this.
Yes, but they managed to get Two-Face. They save themselves. Edie and Selina do some badass tag team work, and she starts beating the fuck out of Two-Face. She's like, "This is for Croc. This is for Ivy," and she just punching the shit out of him.
I'm always here for that.
And Wayne Manor collapses. There's a beautiful bit of irony here that Two-Face ends up going to prison because body cam footage from a police officer of him shooting said police officer is found. So, hey, that body cam footage works out every once in a while.
Yeah, you know.
It ends up putting Two-Face behind prison. His second in command, this little Weasley guy who we've seen the whole time, is like, "I'll run on the ballot." So Barbara Gordon wins by a landslide. No real surprise there.
This Gotham for All Progress Pride thingy, I love that.
You need to make that. Get that poster. Get that poster in your house. That's a nice Gordon for Mayor Gotham for All. That'd be a very cool nerd t-shirt to have. Barbara Gordon talks about rebuilding a more compassionate Gotham.
This was my favorite quote of this story.
Okay.
So she gives her speech, and she's talking about tomorrow we begin the monumental task of rebuilding Gotham, a more just and compassionate Gotham that offers hope to its future while honoring its past. As my father always said, we are stronger when we are kind to each other.
Ain't that fuck? God, be kind.
It's not that hard.
If you can be one thing.
Be kind.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you get a couple scenes. You actually see Jason Blood sitting at home reading a book, and he's got Etrigan's cat on his... not Etrigan.
The kids.
Clarion's. Yeah, Clarion's familiar on his lap. So obviously he was able to defeat that evil kid, and he kept his cat as a pet. Then you see Barbara Gordon looking at her dad's pipe, but with her son behind her, with a very good bat dog stuffed statue, a stuffed animal in his bed. And he's got a little cat mask that he's holding in his hand. He's asleep.
Batman and Catwoman together again.
Yeah. So Batgirl looking over her son, but thinking about her father. So you have 3 generations represented in that shot. Then you see a shot of Wayne Manor. And there's a tree growing there. And the reason I say this leads to hope is because Ivy a lot of times dies in the comics, but then you see like a sudden sprout of plant life, and it turns out she's not dead. So that tree gives me hope that she is actually...
It is a red tree.
Yeah, and it gives me hope that she is reforming in the earth, which is what she does, and she will eventually come back. Like Mother Earth, she cannot be truly killed.
I love her. I hope that you're right.
Yeah. So then we cut to Edie, and you have Catwoman on her ear radio training her. She's jumping from building to building. She's doing some parkour. And
taking out the penguin.
Yeah, and they're fucking with the penguin, who, of course, has this coming.
Oh, fucking yes, he does.
Now, just remember, this is dry run. We'll hit the ship tomorrow, and it shows the packing containers. It says Cobblepot Global Services. Cobblepot being Penguin's real name. And she says, this guy must really have it coming. And Selina's like, you have no idea.
Don't look down Selina's shirt.
No. She's gonna rob your ass. And Winston's like, Edie, that was smooth as silk, baby. And then he gets smacked on the back of the head by Riddler's cane. He's like, riddle me this, Casanova. What's with all this baby stuff? And Winston's like, rubbing his head. He's like, that's not a riddle. And then Selina gets on Eddie. He's like, go easy on it. I'll see you later. And he's like, yeah, you bet. They do a little kiss and she walks out. So Eddie's being the typical overprotective dad.
Do you think that Catwoman would have outgrown Batman if they would have had a chance for that to be a thing that happened?
Depends on if he matured. I think she would have... In this story, she matures past him.
But he died, and
Right. So it's kind of unfair.
Yes.
You can't win a race when you're dead.
This is why I was asking. If that had been a choice.
I don't know. Because I think this comic says that he would never get past that. Because the last mission he gives her is bring me back so I can keep doing the same old shit I've been doing. And he makes the choice of like, I'll come back and fight crime for a week in my top peak condition because it's better than not being able to fight crime. Like, I don't think from what we see in this, I don't think Bruce ever would have got there. And I think Selina would have. And if Batman didn't kill Eddie during one of their encounters, this might have still happened.
Yeah.
Don't know. But in this world, this is the way it ends up. Sadly, we end with a little heart-to-heart between Selina and Barbara.
I actually don't think this is sad.
Well, it's just sad because they're on the rooftop. This is the rooftop. I feel like this Batman. Is the rooftop where the bat signal used to light up. And you're right, it ends on a hopeful note, but it is at first it's sad because it's them talking about. I also like, she says, my dad was a little deaf on one ear, made it easier to sneak up on him. You can come out now, Selina. The whole time Batman thought he was smooth. He ain't smooth.
No.
Gordon's just deaf. But they're talking about how the city has changed. These big glass buildings. Barbara Gordon gives her an option. Basically, hey, you want to be the new Batman? Like, there's things I can't do. Can't operate at night. You want to work with me? And Selina turns her down.
At first.
Well, I mean, she kind of does. I don't know. She does say, if you love the city as much as he did, be a part of its future. And she's like, I'm sorry, Barbara. But she also says, they talked about the buildings, and now she's like, I was wrong about this. They look great at night, like jewels. Yeah. Like plunder. Right for the plunder.
Yeah. I took that one, the future is female. I love the fact that you've got Barbara Gordon and Selina Kyle
and
having... That's what I was going to get to. That's what... You have Barbara Gordon and Selina Kyle having a heart-to-heart on the roof, but when Barbara is the mayor and Selina is still kind of criming her way around.
Yeah.
And, Selina is teaching the next generation of criminal with Edie.
Yeah.
And you got Barbara here being like, hey, there's gonna be some stuff I can't be seen doing. If you want to, can I trust you to do that?
Yeah, and it's also interesting because if Eddie can get over his dislike of Winston because Winston has the hots for his daughter, he can have a protege too. Mm-hmm. Because Eddie can, Eddie's the tech guy, and Winston can carry on that family legacy. Once again, if Eddie can get if Eddie can,
I think Eddie would get over it eventually.
Eddie will. Well, Selena will make him.
Oh yeah.
Selena even said they're easy. Yeah, go easy on him. Like, come on, they're kids. They're gonna fall in love. It happens. Like,
you can't.
You can't.
You were also a slut. Stop it.
He was an absolute slut. Girls, guy, he didn't give a shit. He can't turn around now. He can't. He was like a super bisexual slut of fun. He can't turn around and judge his daughter.
You were also a slut, man. You cannot.
Dude, ran around with fucking girls in fishnets and fucking.
You had a weird codependent relationship with Batman.
Married Clock King in one continuity. Come on, Ed.
You can't be like that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a from that last line, she's like, "Oh, this city looks like jewels." So meaning ripe for the fucking plunder.
Yeah.
She's gonna stay criminal. She's gonna. Even she's changed so much, but she's still always going to be in that gray area between right and wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
She's not Barbara wanted to be Batman. She's like, I'm going to keep being Selena, thanks.
Yeah. But she doesn't. I do think she would help because likewise, with the Joker,
I feel like she is now. I think she's going to go the Robin Hood route, at least, of robbing from the people who deserve it.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to give to the poor, but she did in the past.
Yeah, she has a history of buying buildings and letting people live in it for free.
Yeah.
And she became the face of resistance for a reason. There's something that people see in that they can identify with.
Yeah.
So I feel like she would help if the situation was.
I agree. I think.
I don't think she'll be Batman.
No, I think.
But I don't think Batman was a good thing to be.
Also, yeah. Fair. I feel like, you look at the people that chose to emulate Batman versus the people that chose to emulate Selena. One was Antifa and one was the police state.
Yeah.
There's something there.
There is something there, but I do think that there's a difference. So, Batman is more of a...
His vision got corrupted.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think it's fair to consider those little knockoff Punisher people as a
they were
vision
not.
of
It's
Batman.
True. That was unfair of me. But Bruce, I apologize.
But I do think that Batman is more the way Batman is more of a single individual. It's that hero myth. Mm-hmm. It's that one special person can save the world. Whereas Catwoman,
not us, we.
Yeah, not me, we.
Yeah.
Catwoman, her...
Not us, we. Yeah, that made no sense. You're right.
Catwoman, it became more of a societal... It's a people-involved thing. Communities change when communities decide to change, as opposed to communities change when one person decides to direct the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's a better vision than Batman's.
That is a lovely statement. And I've said it before, I say it again, I hope you're right.
I want to be right.
All right. We're almost ready to wrap it up here. Yeah. I just got the big question. And this is one I have not thought about myself, so I'm going to have to run it through my own databanks. But you're planning a big heist.
All right.
You need a driver. You need a muscle. You need finesse. You need a smart person, tech and research guy. You can take your team from any fiction.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Not just... I was going to say just comics, but I'm like, no, fuck it. Anywhere you want. Fucking anything you want. You have this team. And who are you getting and from where? Only rule is you can't have anyone from this team. You can't have Catwoman or Riddler or Killer Croc. You have to... Or Poison Ivy. It's got to be a new team. So, 4 people. I'm going to go ahead and say as my driver, I want Akira.
Hey, okay, driver. We'll do the.
We'll do a 1-on-1.
All right,
driver Akira.
I want Sailor Saturn from Hikaru Tenuwu.
Does she have driving experience?
She is a race car driver.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah, so driver. Perfect. Sailor Saturn.
Perfect. All right, as my my master planner, almost said Grandmaster. I'm like, my KKK Grand Dragon? No, my planner, my computer planner guy. I want Dr. Gregory House from House. That man is a man who can work around any problem, and much like Riddler, he carries a cane. So I feel like you have the spirit of Eddie Enigma without having Eddie Enigma there.
He is also an egotistical asshole.
Which you need for your planner.
You do. I would get Makishima from Psychopaths, actually.
Oh, shit. All right.
Yeah.
Fair. All right, now you need hired muscle. You need a big buff guy. You need a fucking super strong dude. And, I don't know offhand who's going to be my muscle guy. I'm the least interested in my muscle guy.
I am too.
I will go ahead
I'm going to go with Thor, I guess.
Thor's
he seems like a himbo.
He's a good...
He's a good himbo.
He is. He's a good himbo. God damn it. All right. I need a buff dude. I don't want to take a guy from Marvel Comics. You took a guy from Marvel Comics. I need someone. I need a strong guy. I also need a finesse guy. If you have a finesse person, you can go ahead and name them while I'm trying to think of my strong dude. You know what? My strong guy, I'm going to get Gutsman off of Mega Man. He is from a straight-up video game character. You see that poster over there on my wall? That's Mega Man. All of his villains are something man. There's like a Lek Man and Crash Man and Flash Man. The top right-hand corner, that dude in the shadows, that's Guts Man. So I'm going to have Guts Man from Mega Man. He's just a big rocky robot. I'm going to have a big rocky robot.
All right, finesse.
Yes, now you need a finesser. Some smooth criminal.
God, why am I having the most trouble with this?
Well, you need someone who's agile and, quick on their feet. I'm actually going to take someone else from the Batman universe and take Lady Shiva. Lady Shiva is a bad ninja bitch lady. She's super cool. And she's been a assassin for the League of Assassins. She's also been freelance. She's been one of the Batman's love interests in the past. So much like I picked someone who was sort of Eddie, I picked someone who was sort of Selena as to finish out my group with Lady Shiva.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Hao Chang. We'll go with
okay.
With my pirate ghost king dude.
Okay. Well, shit. How are you gonna stop a pirate ghost king?
That's what I'm saying.
There's a DC villain called the Gentleman's Ghost, who is a criminal. Who's one of my favorites, and we're gonna read something with him at some point in the future.
Hao Chang is the crimson rain salt flower from Heaven Official's Blessing.
Yeah, and we'll cover that here. If you want to learn more about that, down the road, we'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll learn more about him and the Gentleman's Ghost. Just keep listening. Good teams. Gotham Bank
I don't know how I get them to work together, but,
You never worry about that. When you're organizing the team, you just organize the team, and having them fight amongst themselves is half the fun. That's one thing Lonely City did not do. They all got along pretty well for the most part.
I really liked that, too. It was nice to see the camaraderie.
Well, it's good to get away from that trope of, like, a bunch of egos can't get along. Like, they all worked swimmingly. Catwoman, good leader. Got them together. So, in 2 weeks, because we moved the Until I Met My Husband episode, we're going to actually have 2 of mine in a row.
Yep.
Many apologies, mostly to Cecilia. But we did 2 of hers in a row.
Yeah,
at least good. They came in a row. They weren't recorded in a row. But again, none of that really matters to you. That's all behind the scenes BS. But in 2 weeks, we are going to touch on the last of what I call the 80s trifecta. We did 80s boy toy trifecta.
Yeah, let's
correctly.
be real about what.
We did Transformers, we did He-Man, and now we're going to touch on the last one, G.I. Joe, an American hero.
An American something.
An American something. And we're doing the Chuckles G.I. Joe Cobra. I believe it's IDW, but the link will be in the show notes. But that is what you're going to be reading for 2 weeks from now. And that'll put us back on track, right where we need to be.
Yay!
So yes, in 2 weeks, you will hear some cruel things said about...
what would be my first
about
little bit of anger read, because I did not enjoy this one.
Yes. But, as I said then, and I'll say it again now, it's all about that last issue. What does that mean?
You have to...
Look in the show notes. Get the comic, read it, and join us in 2 weeks to find out.
Yep.
Yeah. But, that is in 2 weeks' time. Until then, if you did not find what you heard repulsive, think about giving us the 5-star rating, writing the review, following us on all the social medias, which the links will be in the show notes.
And we got them all, baby.
We got them all. We've really fleshed that out. Also, support your local comic shops. Please. We love those.
We do.
Support your local comic shop. I support the Comic Mon store in Salisbury, North Carolina. That's my local comic shop. You find your local comic shop. For the love of God, I'm sick of having to tell you people about this. I think this is the first time I've mentioned it. I was going to
say, yeah.
And I'm already sick of it. But yeah, support your local comic shops. And until 2 weeks from now, be kind, commit crimes.
Yes.
That's our advice.
Always.
Latest.
Bye.